This damn fat drug I take, it's not working.
We finally beat Medicare.
Well, hello. All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Cenk Ugaranik is sparing with you guys today. So we have a really interesting report on how Hezbollah is using drones to attack IDF soldiers in Lebanon, which is, of course, their right to do that, to defend their land. So there you already have something massively different between us and all of national media. They say that if you defend your land against Israel, you're a terrorist. So we'll explain how they're defending. We've got a devastating report on how Israelis have been deliberately targeting children. They've been torturing them, sexual violence. So, of course, Israel's answer will be the entire world is anti-Semite. The truth is anti-Semitic. So you got that to look forward to a little bit later. Giant attack on Zohran Mamdani, round 2 today. We'll explain that for you guys. He has made the grave offense of doing the most anti-Semitic thing in the world, which is opposing AIPAC. Everyone must bow to the Israeli bribes. If you don't bow to Israeli bribes, well, then obviously you're an anti-Semite. And we have our own war crimes to answer for in Iran. We're gonna explain that as well. And then at the end of all that disastrous news, because we're the strangest news show in the world, we're going to do Operation Joy, because it's Tuesday night, that's at 8 o'clock Eastern, and I have a new idea to bring you joy. So, how's that for an eclectic mix? Okay, let's do the first story.
Behind me, you see dozens of people that are taking part in a yoga practice as part of a nonprofit called Brothers in Yoga. It's an organization started by a wonderful woman named Netta Margalit, who has dedicated all of her time and energy and resources to bringing somatic healing yoga practices to starting with soldiers who've experienced PTSD, not just PTSD in light of October 7th and the subsequent war, but also soldiers that have been traumatized and suffering from all kinds of issues.
So that's the Israeli IDF soldiers doing yoga for their mental health for what they've done to the Palestinians. Now, the Palestinians are not getting any of that treatment. The treatment they're getting is torture and sexual violence against their kids. And the new UN independent commission has confirmed that. Anna's got the details.
Right, Cenk. I mean, when you're committing war crimes and torturing and slaughtering children, I mean, sometimes you got to get the weight of your crimes against humanity off your mind. And what better way than a yoga practice that's advertised on Israeli media? Now, with that in mind, the UN has just come out with yet another report, not only reconfirming that genocide had happened in Gaza at the hands of the Israeli Defense Forces, but that the genocide continues. And in this case, they are laser focused on the crimes against children in particular. So let's get to the details. Now, according to this latest United Nations report from the Human Rights Council, Israel continues to commit genocide and other atrocity crimes by deliberately targeting Palestinian children. So this was released just recently, June 23rd, and the report was conducted specifically by the UN International Commission of Inquiry on the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem and Israel in general. And it goes into some specific effects that these bombings, these strikes, these raids, and the blockade on the Gaza Strip have had specifically on children. Now, children are not in control of this situation. Children are innocent. Children should be protected, but not according to the IDF. The commission, which concluded last year that Israel had committed genocide against the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip, found that the intense scale and systematic nature of the Israeli military operations have continued, resulting in unprecedented death, injury, and trauma of Palestinian children. The commission reiterates that the deliberate targeting of children is one of the key elements establishing genocidal intent of the Israeli authorities and security forces to destroy the Palestinian group in whole or in part in Gaza. Remember, that's the definition of genocide. And they point to specific findings, including the fact that severe physical and mental injuries, mass trauma, orphanhood, separation, disability, repeated displacement, starvation, and the collapse of education and healthcare have erased childhood and will continue to affect children in Gaza throughout their lives. And in addition to blocking food from entering the Gaza Strip, Israel is also preventing building materials and sanitary equipment for Palestinians to be able to deal with things like sewage and pests. And it has led to the video that has gone viral on social media recently. I'll explain to you what you're looking at. That is the foot of a child who is now living in a tent. You can see that the child's foot has a swarm of insects surrounding the child. And we had shared with you in earlier reports that rat and rodent infestations in Gaza were a problem. Now, potentially disease-carrying mosquitoes are a problem in the Gaza Strip with no help and no end in sight, because this is very clearly a campaign to erase a group of people from a region of the world that, of course, Israel wants to take over entirely.
So I posted that on social media, and one of the Israeli supporters said, it doesn't matter because the Palestinians don't exist. From the same people who cry nonstop about, we have a right to exist. Do Palestinian children have a right to exist? Apparently not. It's that haunting line from Golda Meir keeps ringing through my head. We'll never forgive the Palestinians for making us kill their children.
I know, they're never responsible for their genocidal acts. They're never in the wrong. They're just innocent
angels. They are the golden people.
Right.
They can kill and rape and torture children, but you're not allowed to say it. If they can do it, but if you say you're a bad person, no. If you're denying this genocide, you are a genocide denier and you're a disgusting person. If you're helping Israel do these atrocities and you're covering that up, you're a fascist enabler, you're a fascist supporter, and now you're in league with other fascists throughout history. Okay, so I hope you're proud. So no, look, this is something you guys don't deal with. Sorry to interject, like my personal issues here in the middle of such an important story.
Go off, King.
But we get attacked nonstop by people you don't see, right? People in the establishment. And they genuinely believe that it is outrageous to criticize Israel, outrageous. And that we should be crushed and we should be disqualified from ever talking to anyone in politics or in media, because how dare we criticize the godlike Israel? Look at the disgusting crimes against humanity that they do. Torturing children, have you no bounds? And of course what they'll say, because they're monstrous liars, perpetual pathological liars, the people who are still supporting Israel at this late date and supporting their disgusting genocide. They'll say, the UN's anti-Semitic. Everyone in the world is anti-Semitic. Anyone who reads that report is anti-Semitic. Anyone who quotes that report is anti-Semitic. The whole world is anti-Semitic. That's why we're allowed to do whatever we want. And it's just all irrational criticism based on our religion. Look, I got news for you. You think your religion is so important? I don't give a goddamn what your religion is. I don't care if you're a Buddhist, that gives you no excuse. I don't care if you're Jewish. Yes, I said it. I don't care if you're Jewish. I don't care if you're Hindu. I don't care what you are. You're not allowed to murder other people's children. You're not allowed to do sexual violence against other people's children and then complain that people are criticizing you. And then hide behind your religion like cowards, like disgusting fascists that the Israelis currently obviously are. But have I hurt your feelings? And if you say, hey, you know what? I don't care about those children getting slaughtered by Israel on purpose, deliberately and intentionally. They're going into neonatal care units and maternity care units and we're gonna tell you about that. And they're killing the kids inside there. And if you say, I don't care about those stupid Palestinian kids, I'll just pretend they don't exist. Well, I'll pretend we didn't do it. But how dare you tell the world about our crimes? You're the problem. No. That means you're a disgusting terrorist, fascist enabler. I just want to be clear about Israeli supporters. I'm not talking about, hey, you grew up thinking Israel was lovely because your parents brainwashed you into that. No problem. Tons of people have done that. If at this date you've seen all this evidence and you go, yeah, but as long as it's not me and it's you and your stupid kids, well then, okay, I'm good with it. Well, then you're a terrible, immoral person. And if you're attacking anyone fighting against that kind of fascism, you would have loved the good Germans in Germany who did nothing while the Jews were slaughtered and the Poles were slaughtered and the Roma was slaughtered. So we're trying to do something about a genocide that we can do something about. And if you're the one actually helping that genocide and demanding that we fund it and trying to destroy anyone fighting against it, you're a disgustingly immoral fascist. I hope I was clear enough. Go ahead, Hannah.
Well, I just wanted to note that you can't do two things at the same time. You can't point fingers at whatever boogeymen you claim are a threat to you and accuse them of doing what you yourself are doing in real time. Because you are conceding that these acts are genocidal, cruel, terrible, as you are doing it. But I mean, they think we're stupid and we can't see that they're doing it. They deny that they're doing it.
We'll just trick you. We're so clever. But you're not allowed to say we're clever. You're not allowed to say we're tricking you. You must bow to Israel. No, we're not going to.
Well, you're not tricking us because as stupid as they think we might be, you're not the smartest people on the planet. You're just not. Okay, and we all see what's going on. We've all been, unfortunately, witnessing it for nearly 3 years straight. And it radicalizes people against Zionists, against the nation state of Israel. I am against the nation state of Israel, and I have no bones about admitting that. I will admit it every day. I will scream it from the rooftops because I see evil and it needs to be called out. So let's talk more about the evil that is documented, that is proven, that's part of this report. So the report also cited the IDF's intentional targeting of healthcare centers, specifically for babies and mothers. Gee, I wonder why they would do that. Israel's targeting of neonatal and maternity care centers in Gaza have directly harmed the survival of newborns and Palestinians' reproductive future, including rises in miscarriages, birth defects, and lasting vulnerabilities. I'm sure a bunch of Zionists just creamed their pants. Vulnerabilities among newborns, resulting in the destruction of Palestinian newborn life and the population's continuity. This is a definition of genocide.
By the way, what they also accused the Iraqis of doing, they were unplugging the incubators for the babies. That's why we have to attack Iraq on behalf of Israel.
I remember that.
Right. Oh, look at that. Every Israeli accusation is a confession. And there they are, killing babies in neonatal and maternity care centers. Yeah, I remember when they bombed the hospital. You remember that story?
Yes, I do. I do remember that.
And then they went inside the thing and they did exactly what they charged Saddam Hussein with doing.
I know.
Unplugging the units, just disgusting terrorists.
In parallel, the dismantling and destruction of orphanages and education facilities in Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, have obstructed children's cognitive, social, and emotional care and development and disrupted the foundations of Palestinian society. But of course, that was the point. The report found, I want you to really hear this. This report found that around 30% of those killed in Gaza, 30% children, 30%. And these disgusting war criminal pieces of crap have the audacity to brag about how they're the most moral army.
Oh, come on, man. Have you no bounds of decency?
That their kill ratio is among the best, the most moral. And I mean,
it's literally the worst in the world, as I've told you many times, reported by Israeli press, leaks from the IDF itself, 83% civilian kill ratio. We know Hamas are terrorists according to the Israeli definition, American definition, because their civilian kill ratio is so high at 67%. Israel's is far higher than Hamas or Hezbollah or any other terrorist group because they're terrorists who kill children, and then they get American media to lie on their behalf and pretend they're the good guys.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Now, Nearly all children are reported to need psychological support, which shouldn't come as a surprise given the apocalyptic scenes we've seen out of Gaza. By targeting children, Israel is eroding the foundational structure of Palestinian society, weakening the demographic vitality and overall capacity of the Palestinian people to sustain and exercise its right to determine its future as a people. Now, of course, Israel denies all of this, even
of course,
even as many of their, politicians brag about it publicly on a daily basis. Members of their media brag about it on a daily basis. But a rebuttal shared by Israel's mission in Geneva said Israel consistently strives to minimize harm to children, even in situations of conflict. Okay, let me understand something. So let's move off of Gaza for just 1 second, because when Netanyahu feared that there was going to be a peace deal between the United States and Iran, what did he do? In a 10-minute time span, he dropped 100 bombs on Lebanon. He carpet bombed Lebanon. Is that a good example of Israel really going out of its way to minimize civilian casualties? They think we're stupid. But in reality, they're stupid for thinking that we buy this garbage.
No, I have to talk about how dumb Israeli supporters are, okay?
Yes, please, take your time, take your time.
Okay, because they say, oh, well, we're the one country that's never done anything wrong. I mean, it looks like there's 23,000 dead kids and 76,000 dead people, and everywhere we go, we seem to be carpet bombing, and every neutral organization say it's a genocide, and that we're doing double taps, which is by definition terrorism. We're waiting for the medical workers to arrive, and then murdering the medical workers trying to help injured children. But no, we're the good guys. And because of our religion, we get special exemptions, which is that you're not allowed to criticize us. And in our stupid minds, we think, oh, it's okay. We've done nothing wrong. Those children deserve to be murdered and tortured because they're Palestinians. Are you an anti-Semite? I'm so worried about bigotry, but only if it affects me. I'm not worried about bigotry when it affects anyone else. I'm not worried about murder or torture or rape when it affects anyone else. But I'm a moral person. No, you sound like an idiot and a disgustingly immoral person. Have I been clear enough? Oh, I'm sorry, was I too harsh against the genocide? Should I have been softer, a little bit more polite in how I'm fighting against the genocide? I mean, they're only raping and torturing children.
It's disgusting, it's absolutely disgusting. And we should remember, Netanyahu has made abundantly clear that he intends on taking over the entirety of the Gaza Strip. Several ministers within the Knesset have made clear that the reason why they leveled Gaza, the reason why they made it unlivable, is because they want to persuade the remaining Palestinians, the ones who have survived, to leave the Gaza Strip entirely. The whole idea is there's nothing for you here. It's gone, it's all gone, so leave, get out of here. That was the plan. And remember, the words of Itamar Ben-Gvir, this is from a few months ago, regarding the so-called yellow line in Gaza. Take a look.
This is according to reporting from Israel's Channel 14. So there was this cabinet meeting, a bunch of members of the government are discussing it. And the deputy chief of staff said that the Israeli army is firing at adults who cross the line, but not at children and donkeys. To which that national security minister said, we must shoot at a child and a donkey too. Enough with being merciful and accepting what happened until October 6th. And just imagine what is going on in the bounds of his skull, that he thinks what we've had up until this point is mercy.
Am I supposed to denounce Hezbollah?
No, come on.
Is that what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to denounce Hezbollah. No, long live the resistance. Go ahead, Cenk.
So Hezbollah currently is defending Lebanon, of course. They say, oh no, you are not allowed to defend Lebanon. If you don't lay down and surrender to the Israelis and let them take your home and all of your property, then you're an anti-Semite and a terrorist. And they genuinely believe this. So look, I don't want to call people stupid, but like, what do you want me to say? Like this level of purposeful ignorance. I mean, look.
It's not even ignorance, Cenk. They support it. They know what's going on. The people that you're referring to who are pretending to be outraged by your criticism toward what Israel is doing, they know what Israel's doing. The thing is, they do, they support it, they love it, they love it. Cenk,
they're utterly delusional. They really believe like, oh, the whole world hates Jews. So like we didn't do anything. These are all lies. And if they're watching this right now and an Israeli supporter is watching this, they don't believe a word we're saying. They don't believe a word the UN says. They don't believe a word that anyone who isn't a hardcore Zionist says. They don't believe it because it would wreck them mentally to know that they've become the Nazis.
They are the Nazis, okay? And you have a pure heart. You do. You have such a pure heart. And I don't know. I'm way more jaded than I think you'll ever be, okay? I was listening to a conversation yesterday between this woman named Bridget Pharisee, I think that's how you say her last name, and Batia Angar-Sargon. They were talking about the atrocities being committed in the West Bank, and they both acknowledged the atrocities being committed in the West Bank. And you know what Batia said? It's gonna be fine, we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be, I don't agree with it, it's bad, but don't worry, we're gonna deal with it, it'll be fine.
You're not gonna deal with anything. You've murdered over, do you know that the Israelis have murdered more civilians in the West Bank than Hamas killed civilians on October 7th? But we were told by our media that October 7th was the worst thing that happened since the Holocaust. But when 70 times worse happened in Gaza, they're like, who cares? Those are stupid Palestinians. Our national media in this country is so racist, it's beyond description.
Absolutely.
When it comes to Palestinians or Arabs or Persians, they don't think your life is worth anything. They think 70 times October 7th, if it's done to Palestinians, is irrelevant. And then now they've done more than an October 7th in West Bank, and they don't even report it. Our media, like, have you seen it all over cable news? The atrocity, what happened, what the Israelis did to the West Bank is the worst thing since the Holocaust. No, because they're not Israeli. So their lives are irrelevant.
I know, yeah.
We'll deal with it later after we slaughter them. You know how much accountability has been for all those deaths and murders in the West Bank? Zero, none, okay? They've killed 10 Americans in the last 3 years, West Bank and Gaza Strip. You know how much accountability? Zero. Our government doesn't even ask them to arrest people that have murdered American citizens.
One of the settlers who killed an American citizen ended up getting sanctioned by the Biden administration. Trump came in and he lifted the sanctions.
Okay, one, right? The others, they have not bothered to arrest. None of them have gone to prison. None of them have gotten justice because they're worthless American lives. They're not precious Israeli lives. All the people you slaughter, if you're Israel, Lebanese, Iranian, Palestinian, American, it doesn't matter.
Christian, Muslim, doesn't matter.
Muslim, doesn't matter. According to our disgusting media and our disgustingly corrupt politicians, genocide and fascism and terrorism is wonderful and you must pay for it. You go get a second job. Israel isn't done murdering kids. Oh, you're not allowed to say things that are true. Yes, we are. Until they shut this show down, and who knows, maybe they will, because they can't allow anyone to tell you the truth about Israel. Because if you find out the truth about Israel, you'd say, why would I want to fund a country murdering children on purpose and torturing them on purpose? No, nobody would want to do that in their right mind. That's why they have to call us all anti-Semites. That's why they have to ruin all of our careers and our lives, and they have to be bullies and thugs and terrorists inside this country. Every time I go to give a speech, I get a half a dozen people come up and tell me they were fired because they criticized Israel or even just supported Palestinians on social media. Because Israel is a terrorist network inside this country who are constantly trying to destroy anyone who criticizes Israel so that they can get away with what is this? Taking $320 billion from us a lifetime and pretending that's not a robbery. Of course it's a robbery. Of course it's a robbery. What did they use it for? Were they Mother Teresa? They tell us these pretty little lies on television. Oh, they made the desert bloom. Well, yeah, with the blood of Palestinians that they've slaughtered the entire time. You think 750,000 Palestinians went for a picnic in 1948? Are you that preposterously dumb? No, they dragged the bodies of dead Palestinians through the villages. That's why they all ran for their lives. That was ethnic cleansing round one. And our press was like, oh, God bless Israel. They have made the desert bloom. Oh, don't worry about the 750,000 people that they ethnically cleansed, the people that they slaughtered. Do you know that?
But Cenk, they need it. They needed to do that.
They're entitled to it. They're entitled.
Not only were they entitled to it, don't you know, Jews are so unsafe everywhere else, including the United States where they thrive, okay? Like, what are we doing?
In the UK where they thrive, and most of the world where they thrive. God bless, I love that. I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
that we are a free country that doesn't care about Jews, Muslims, Christians, etc. That's why I love America.
My
I love
point
that
is
Jewish people can be
the project
safe
is based
here.
on a lie. That's the point that I'm trying to make. That the whole project, the whole reason for the slaughter, the destruction of a people in the Middle East, it's based on a lie, okay? Jews are not unsafe here in the United States. There isn't this giant group of neo-Nazis looking to destroy them. They are thriving here in the US as it should be. And it's just this fake story that we're supposed to believe in order to justify what we all know are crimes against humanity. And Cenk, the thing that has jaded me beyond recognition, okay, is that there are so many career-obsessed pieces of crap in this country who know that if they say the right thing, if they draw attention to these crimes against humanity, I might lose my media job, so I'm just gonna be quiet.
That is literally everyone in media.
That is literally everyone in media, and I look down on them.
Oh yeah, if you're a national media reporter or you're a cable news anchor, respect.
You're
you
a
deserve
disgrace.
no respect.
You're a disgrace.
You're a humiliation.
You're the antithesis of what a journalist is supposed to be. So, I don't know, go do commercials where someone just hands you a script and you read it, right?
They already do, and it's Israeli lobby hands them the script and they read it and pretend to be news anchors when they're news actors.
So
none of them noticed that it was a genocide, but they're journalists?
They're worried about being called anti-Semites.
Of course they are. If you think that's not happening, you literally have no idea what's happening in this country. No, everyone in media knows that if you criticize Israel, you will be called an anti-Semite and someone will try to get you fired. And their chance of success is about 98%. So the minute you criticize Israel, you've jeopardized your entire career. And not only will you be fired and canceled, but you'll be shamed. That's an anti-Semite. No one should ever hire them again. And yes, that's what you look like when you're supporting fascists who are murdering and torturing children, and then you manage to destroy anyone who opposes those war crimes, those crimes against humanity. Well, congratulations, you'd make Goebbels proud. Like Goebbels couldn't manage this.
Cenk, you just reminded me of something.
Oh, you can't say that. You can't compare us. No, I can, and I just did. Kiss my ass. How about you can't kill children? You can't torture and rape children. How about that? No, I can. I'm entitled to everything. I'm an Israeli. I'm entitled to everything. You're entitled to nothing. Bow. And then our stupid groveling politicians bow. They disgust me.
I'd rather die. Anyway, we gotta take a break. We'll be right back.
All right, so let's go to YouTube members. No Vitriol here says we all have a right to exist, but we don't get to erase anyone else to do it. I'm tired of some folk thinking someone else's existence shouldn't be and stomps on their own, so they stomp first. Yeah, well, the Israelis crying about their right to exist are a bunch of liars. They have they exist. They have nukes. What is this? Oh, like we're gonna be wiped out. That's just a fantasy. That's a lie that they tell their own citizens so they can get them all riled up. Kill the Palestinians, they're about to kill us all, right? They have Iron Dome, they have the best military in the Middle East. They have weapons of mass destruction, which they're the most likely to use by far of any country. Right to exist. And they're like, oh, but Palestinians don't have a right to exist. Well, if you think the occupation is fine and you make excuses for it, then you're saying that, yeah, I don't care about anybody else's right to exist. I'm an Israeli, I'm above the law, I'm above all of you. And then you wonder why people hate you. Oh, duh, you couldn't figure that out? Okay, Nani Dragon, unfortunately Zoran can't run for president. He wasn't born in the US. I think he can run even if he wasn't born in the US, but that's a long topic. Caroline Palmkiaz says, expose all these Epstein elites and the greedy billionaires who are destroying the world and us along with it. They are starting their crap here in Australia with Gina and Hansen. Well, of course, they're everywhere. So, guys, the Epstein elites, they were protected by our government and by the British government. And they know that those are people who raped our children. But hey, Epstein was helping Israel, so you're not allowed to criticize him, and you're never gonna get justice. back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. Brahman83, thank you for gifting 5 memberships on YouTube. We really appreciate you guys. Our community is terrific. I mean, and look, we talk about tough things, man. Thank you for sticking with us, and your support means everything to us because we've got no support from anywhere else. Everyone in the establishment thinks we're totally out of bounds, that we're way too angry about a genocide. Remember, it's just Palestinians, no big deal.
Guys,
what are you guys all upset about?
We got to turn the tables. It's time for us to be the ones to stigmatize them.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh, you're offended? I'm offended. I'm offended. You're a disgusting Nazi, okay?
Yeah. Look, I didn't tell you guys this. I saw Jonathan Greenblatt the other day in LA. And I said, do you have no humanity at all? Do you no empathy for Palestinians, the Lebanese? He's like, oh, I do, but everybody's an anti-Semite. Yeah, shut up. Bunch of liars. Jonathan Greenblatt's one of the biggest liars in the whole country. Doesn't care about Jewish people. By the way, they attack Jewish people who are opposed to Israel, right? It isn't about religion. It's about their beloved, sick, disgusting Israel. Oh, you're not allowed to say that about the whole country. I just did. Kiss my ass. No, they're not allowed to do a genocide. Get that through your thick skull. No. Okay, no, I know. Anyway, Lean 35, you're awesome. Lucy 1918, Corn Pop was a dude, and Anonymous, all thank you for joining through tyt.com/join. We really appreciate it. And then look, let me help you guys out with one of our sponsors who I think is a really valuable service, especially if you watch this show, you'll enjoy what they're doing. So like people like say that they're exhausted by the news, but really what you're exhausted by is getting the fake news, right? And everybody taking their own angle, but not giving you the full context. So if you want to know what's really going on, you have to be able to see how the story is being framed, and that's why I'm recommending Ground News. Ground News is an app and a website that pulls together reporting from across the political spectrum, so you can compare coverage in one place. You can compare headlines side by side, see the biased distribution of coverage, check the factuality ratings of the sources, and even see who owns the outlets reporting on it. If you want to stay informed without getting played by media spin, Ground News is a valuable tool. Go to ground.news/TYT or scan that QR code on your screen. Using our link gets you 40% off the Ground News Vantage plan. So ground.news/TYT. All right, Anna, what's next?
Well.
Oh, I'm next. All right.
Voiceover cold open. You're watching Hezbollah drone footage from June 13th, which features its fighters targeting an Israeli command center near the historic Beaufort Castle in Lebanon. These cheaply made drones are doing a lot of damage to the IDF soldiers who continue to occupy southern Lebanon. And Cenk, I'm led to believe that we are supposed to feel bad for the invaders and occupiers in southern Lebanon. I, in fact, do not feel bad about it at all. What do you think?
So in this story, we're gonna see how effective those drones have been. And how they're changing warfare, not just in Lebanon, but across the world. And it's really important both for our military and actually, I think there's really good news in there about drones because I think that they're making war less likely now, if anybody's paying attention. So we'll see how that develops. In terms of whether we're supposed to feel sorry for the invading army, no deal. Here's how I would feel sorry for you if you're sitting in your own home and someone attacks you and kills you. I feel terrible for you, right? But if you go and attack someone else and you're in their country and you're trying to steal their land, their homes, their property, no, I don't feel bad for you. Why would I feel bad for that? Like what kind of a weird ask is that? I mean, of all the things to feel entitled about, you feel entitled to our sympathy for your marauding fascist army? No, no deal at all.
Yeah. In fact, whatever the extreme opposite of sympathy is in this context, that's what I feel. But the drone used by Hezbollah in the footage that you just witnessed is referred to the Ababil attack drone. Whatever, doesn't matter what the name is. They're really cheap to make, and they are destroying Merkava tanks that cost as much as $6 million. So let's get to the details about what we know about these drones. So let's take a look at more footage. You're seeing more footage of these cheaply made drones. It costs around $200 to $300 to make these. And again, those Merkava tanks are about $6 million a pop.
Oops.
Now, they are called fiber optic first person view drones or FPV drones. They're the same drones that, in fact, Ukraine is using right now against Russia. And the tethered drones rely on a spool of fiber optic cable that maintains a direct link between the operator and the aircraft, making them immune to jamming and also to other regular electronic warfare measures. What's amazing is it's actually difficult for Israeli radar to pick up on these drones because they move so slowly. So like, you would think like, oh, an impressive drone, right? It moves super fast and that's how it evades any detection. No, this one's just like, and it's so cheaply made that you can literally use items that are available for civilian use in order to create them. And I give you that information because for everything that we hear in Western media about these like barbaric, fighters in the Middle East, these, backwards Muslims, they're all dumb. No, they're actually pretty smart and sophisticated and are able to take out $6 million Merkava tanks with $200 drones that they make out of easily accessible items that are available for civilian use. So while the IDF relies on this expensive equipment, military weaponry, the tanks, Hezbollah has gotten a lot more, they've tapped into human ingenuity, if you will. The drones are also helping Hezbollah surveil the IDF because they have cameras attached to them. Now, the craft appear to be manufactured locally using 3D printing technology, relying on available electronic components commonly used for civilian purpose. Fiber optic FPV drones represent a solution born out of necessity to evade electronic warfare and enable more precise strikes after the group's supply line from Syria was disrupted following the fall of Bashar al-Assad. Now you can kind of understand why the Israelis were obsessed with toppling the Assad regime. Now they have someone else that they don't like in charge, but nonetheless. In an interview with Katie Halper, Haim Bresheth Zaber actually explained why these drones are so effective. He says that, I love that he said this. He says, the Israelis are luxury fighters. They sit in tanks, which cost millions. And then they are hit by a drone, which cost all of 200 euros, and it's destroying the tank. There is nothing the Israelis can do against those bombs. Now they are too afraid to leave those tanks, but actually the tanks are death traps. So there have been some videos, for instance, the attack that took out 5 IDF soldiers in southern Lebanon just over this past weekend, the drone attacked the Merkava tank that they were in. So the tanks are actually not keeping them safer. They're fighting as if they're in Gaza. You're not in Gaza. And you are occupying territory that doesn't belong to you and making it clear that Israel intends on stealing that land. So yeah, Hezbollah is gonna fight back. And in fact, they've taken out quite a few IDF soldiers by doing this. Since the latest escalation of fighting, at least 36 IDF soldiers have been killed on the northern front. That includes operations in southern Lebanon and in northern Israel. And that's as of today, late June 2026. This brings the total number of IDF troops killed to over 50 since the current round of fighting resumed. But just to juxtapose that death toll to what the Lebanese are facing, since March 2nd, more than 4,000 people in Lebanon have been slaughtered by the IDF. 4,000.
And that's by dropping bombs on people's heads, including on innocent villages, Christian villages, Muslim villages. As Anna explained earlier in the show, 100 bombs in 10 minutes, carpet bombing Lebanon. That's what cowards and luxury fighters do. And then whenever they get hit, they've been crying. I don't know if you noticed. Look, I don't think 50 soldiers is that big a number, right?
They're soldiers, they're not civilians.
No, my point is that I don't think Israel's being devastated, to be honest. So okay, they've gotten some drones to hit the tanks and they've cost them some money, or let's be more accurate, they've cost us some money.
A lot of money.
Israel's gonna cry and go, oh no, America owes us a new invading army and new machinery to attack and kill our neighbors, and all of our disgusting politicians will say, yes sir, of course sir. Dropsite News today asked Senator Kennedy about, why are we funding Israel's invasion of Lebanon? And he said, you gotta get off your medications. But wait, Israel is in Lebanon.
Yep.
Does Senator Kennedy think they're not in Lebanon? Okay, but to be fair to him, all of American media makes it seem like Lebanon is attacking Israel instead of the other way around. No, Israel has viciously attacked Lebanon. and is planning to steal their land, their water rights, their gas rights, etc. So, so 50 guys have died. So it's not like it's been a terrible toll for the Israelis so far. And they always love to take it out, as Ben-Gvir, the terrorist, said, for every one Israeli mom who cries, we need to make 1,000 Lebanese moms cry. Now, of course, that's an Israeli mom crying because she felt entitled to take Lebanese land, and her poor son, who was trying to murder the Lebanese and take their land, well, he met resistance from someone defending their home. So she's weeping. Oh my God, we couldn't steal their land too. I'm so sorry. And he's like, oh, but you've got 1,000 innocent Lebanese moms. Who cares? Kill all their sons. And so for the great glory of Israel. Look now, but it's a long lead up to, at least it's making them pause a little bit, right? They're now, that's why I bring up their crying, because they're like devastated that they've lost anyone. Like we told you yesterday about how this terrible unit that they have that killed Hind Rajab and are known for being vicious terrorists.
The 82nd unit.
The 52nd unit.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, and they're called the Vampire Empire. And the Israelis are crying, oh, we lost our vampires. Oh my God, they were in the middle of murdering children. But then we were entitled, They were anti-Semitic children. We killed, but our guy got killed. And some lady, soldier got killed a couple of weeks ago. And she used to make videos, rap videos, bragging about how they murder the Arabs near them. Ha ha ha. And she was a luxury fighter. And then a drone got her, and Israel's crying, oh, she was just in the middle of celebrating the deaths and the murders of their children. I can't believe she got killed. We're the victims. Good, it's at least making you pause, right? Because what I hope is the case is that the drones are so effective, not just against Israel, but all across the world. I love the way the Ukrainians use them against the Russians, etc. So if China's thinking of taking Taiwan, or any other country's thinking of taking any other country, or Israel's thinking of taking all of their neighbors, which is what they're always thinking about. And literally the other day they announced not just Turkey, but maybe Egypt too, right? There is no end to their greed. And so I hope it makes them think, oh my God, what if in the middle of murdering them, we put our lives in danger? And we're real human beings. Okay, so good. Then I'm glad the drones are making you pause before you go to endless wars. That's not just for the Israelis, it's for the whole planet. So if there's a vicious leader anywhere, North Korea, Russia, Israel, and they're thinking, hey, this will be easy. I'll go murder the people that live next to me. I'll claim I'm the victim, and then I'll take their land. Oh, I might die. Good, I want that in your head. Otherwise, they're gonna do this endlessly. So if the people of the planet can do $200 drones and defeat the mighty militaries of the fascists, well, I don't know that that's a bad thing. I think it might be a good thing.
Well, let me reset real quick for the Iran portion of these drones, because there are some interesting updates in regard to what happened with a downed US pilot in Iran who had to be rescued. Well, we're hearing about what he's now saying about his experience. So we're now learning about what the US pilot whose F-15 was downed in Iran back in April was allegedly experiencing before the aircraft was downed. It turns out that he claims it was swarmed by an Iranian drone in the formation of a jellyfish. Now, this has sparked a bit of a debate among the intelligence community because of the fact that he was injured as a result of that whole operation, that whole situation, which, by the way, we still don't know the details about what kind of operation was being carried out. Why was he in the middle of Iran? But luckily, he survived. He was rescued by our military. But here's what we know. The US fighter jet pilot described multiple Iranian drones hovering in the air, moving as one in a formation that resembled a jellyfish, according to 4 sources familiar with the matter. This is reported by CNN. Now, the account, again, was shared by the F-15 pilot himself. One of CNN's sources on the matter said that if the airman really saw what he described, this is going to be a problem for the United States and especially for Israel, because it indicates that Iran's drone technology is far more advanced than even our intelligence community knew about. Multiple drones interconnected and moving as one with smaller drones below the bigger drones like legs. Real alien crap. this person said. Another source told CNN the pilot described witnessing a minefield of drones in the air. But some question the pilot's account, as I mentioned earlier. So US intelligence officials disagreed on how to interpret what the F-15 pilot described and whether the pilot could recount the incident clearly. For one thing, he was concussed in the crash. It was his second time being shot out of the sky during the Iran war. He had also been among the pilots downed in a friendly fire incident in Kuwait by Kuwaiti forces earlier in the conflict. And that's according to two of the sources who spoke to CNN. I just look, this is one soldier who apparently has been injured now twice in two very scary incidents. And this is all for a war that's being fought on behalf of Israel. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, so we got to go find Wesley Clark Jr. saying this on the Young Turks over a decade ago, because man, did he nail it. So we were doing a show, might have even been Old School, which is a member show that we have, good reason to sign up for membership. And he said, all of our giant military is kind of a waste. He's the son of General Wesley Clark, and he was on the Young Turks for a long time. And he said, the Chinese, he said back then, based on my recollection, could just send 100 drones up there. And then what are you gonna do with your plane? They're so cheap and our planes are so expensive. You throw 100 drones up there and it's just gonna get stuck in, and just hit the plane by accident, let alone the design, et cetera.
Yeah, in fact, we saw that play out through the kinetic warfare that was going on between the United States and Iran. What Iran would do is deploy its drones, which are again, very cheap to make. They knew that the US and Israel were running out of missile interceptors. And so we would have to utilize extremely expensive and difficult to make, they take a lot of time to make, interceptors to take out a super cheap drone that the Iranians put out there. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and Wesley was right. I mean, yeah. Forget the Chinese, the Hezbollah is even the playing field in Israel.
Yes.
At least in Lebanon they have, right? And that's with Israel having nukes and Iron Dome and a giant military, right? And even so, $200 drones are making a difference here. So look, my great hope is that it makes the giant armies that are invading other people's countries a little hesitant to do that, because I'm for peace and I don't want any of this war. I don't want anybody getting hurt. So, and Anna, you made a point earlier in the show, you said, this isn't Gaza, referring to how Hezbollah can fight back in Lebanon. It gives you a sense, you remember as they're slaughtering Gaza, they said we had to do it because of how dangerous the people in Gaza are. They couldn't put together one drone. The Ukrainians did endless drones. Now in Lebanon, they're doing endless drones. The Palestinians didn't have enough money or material for a single drone. They were the most defenseless people on earth, and Israel slaughtered them.
I saw videos of how Hamas was fighting back against IDF troops. They would find unexploded ordnances and ambush IDF tanks with them. That's how they would do it.
With their own Israeli ordinances.
They would attack Israelis with their own unexploded ordinances, yes.
Well, that's obviously anti-Semitic.
No, that's what you do when an invading military is slaughtering your people and committing genocide.
They kidnapped an American kid, 15-year-old Mohammed Ibrahim, put him into one of their gulags. He nearly died. And what was his offense? Looking at another Palestinian boy throw a rock. That's such a big threat to Israel's existence.
They're so disgusting.
That they had to put him in a gulag. And
they make me sick.
He got scabies, he lost 30 pounds and nearly died. He's an American kid. Senator Van Hollen did heroic work there to barely get him out of that torture.
The Israeli people could only dream of living up to what the Palestinians are. Resilient, kind people. That's what the Palestinians are. The Israelis, though, modern day Nazis. Modern day Nazis. Read the UN report. Disgusting. We gotta take a break, Cenk. We'll be right back.
All right, Back on TYT, YouTube member Rose Roscoe says, thank you, TYT. Cenk is looking handsome. Ooh, thank you, I appreciate it. Way to lift my spirits. Oh, that's interesting. The Transcendental man wrote, Midas Touch is literally DNC mouthpiece. I got nothing to do with that. I don't want to start any wars, okay? But you guys make your own calls on what shows you like and don't like. Not good. I don't want to get involved. Anyway, Konstantin Kavira says, my wife and I welcomed our second child into the world. Based on this diaper changes, I fear he's full of the same substance as establishment politician. He's quite charming. How can I prevent him from becoming an establishment politician? Konstantin, that's hilarious. Congratulations, brother. Much love. B-Man778, Semitic means language and not Jewish hatred. By the way, there's no bigger anti-Semites than Israel supporters here in this country. We keep saying Israel, they keep saying all Jews. What? No, not all Jews. And they say, no, you have to say all Jews are committing this genocide and committing all these. Like, no, we're not gonna say it. It's the government of Israel, right? Weirdos. And by the way, Muslims that are Arabs are also Semites. So it is deeply anti-Semitic to slaughter the Palestinians. But of course, our media wouldn't want to tell you that because beloved Israel is the only one who gets to, have the title of calling everyone anti-Semites. Rosa Roscoe also sent in a super chat saying, like, share, and subscribe, TYT family. Thank you for the message and the donation, Rose. You're amazing. Yeah, like and share the stream, guys. That does help a lot. We appreciate you. We'll be right back. All right, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys, and Garrett Mitchell 5059. Thank you for hitting that beautiful join button below the video on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Makes a big difference for us, guys. We need your help and support because we're certainly not getting it from anyone with an inch of power. All right, Anna.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No. I just wanted to respond to what you said. Yeah, people with power are genocidal freaks. Those are the people in power. They're disgusting, but okay, let's just move on. Let's move on to other things, including slaughtering little girls in an elementary school and refusing to take any responsibility for it. So, go ahead, Cenk.
Okay, it's my turn, yeah. So investigation into the US bombing of a girls' school in Iran is complete, unfortunately. But more unfortunately, we're not gonna get to find out what's in it. That leads you to a couple of conclusions on why they might be hiding this report, and none of them are good. Anna, tell us about the facts.
Correct, Cenk. So it is the truth that the United States is responsible for carrying out the slaughter of over 100 elementary school kids and a total of 175 people at that elementary school in Manab, Iran. That was part of the opening salvo in the US war against Iran, which began on February 28th. Now, that is an atrocity that brings me great shame. I know for a fact that the United States was behind it because the United States is the only country that has Tomahawk missiles, and Tomahawk missiles were utilized in order to carry out those strikes against the elementary school. And when I say strikes, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that they did the first strike, slaughtering a bunch of people. Parents and emergency workers rush in after the first strike, and it turns out they did a double tap. Our military did a double tap on an elementary school. Now, the real question is, did our military know that it was an elementary school, or were they under the impression that it was still part of an IRGC military base? And if they were under that impression, where did they get that bad intel from? That's what I'd like to know. So here's what we know based on the reporting about this actual investigation, which we might not ever get to see. It might not even see the light of day. So it turns out that Hegseth and Trump are trying to bury the investigation's findings. Wes Bryant, who's a former US Air Force Special Operations, was part of Special Operations targeting expert, called the sheer volume of civilian deaths in Iran the result of pure negligence and recklessness. In fact, in an interview with The Guardian, he says the following: I believe Hegseth and Trump are both going to do everything they can to suppress this investigation. So even if there is one really sitting there, it's not getting out anymore unless we have, a brave whistleblower. The amount of people with eyes on that report are going to be very small. But a thorough examination into Hegseth's time at the Pentagon indicates that these allegations are not being made in a vacuum. His behavior has been unhinged, to say the least. He does not believe in rules of war. He does not believe in, conducting yourself in a way that minimizes civilian casualties. He thinks he's some sort of, crazy commando who can go ahead and slaughter his way through any issue. Early in his tenure as Secretary of Defense, Hegseth moved to close down or severely reduce civilian oversight of the Pentagon civilian harm mitigation and response. And a report released back in May by the department's Inspector General concluded that the US military no longer had the people, tools, or infrastructure needed to comply with 2 federal statutes requiring it to maintain a functioning civilian casualty policy and operate a civilian protection center of excellence. Just last March, Hegseth boasted about dismantling what he termed stupid rules of engagement as part of his efforts to de-wokeify the Pentagon. So I guess it's woke to not want to see kids get slaughtered by our military, right, Hegseth? This mother effer, he thinks he's such a great Christian. You're a piece of crap, okay? You're a piece of crap with no morality. Oh, rules of engagement, I don't like rules of engagement. I like watching children get slaughtered. That's who Pete Hegseth is, someone who has a mother, his own mother thinks he's a piece of crap. Anyway, but let's continue. The Guardian also reports that preliminary results said the attack came because the US was using 7-year-old targeting data that failed to indicate that the building next to an IRGC base was in fact a girls' school. So again, where was that data from? And more importantly, how many intelligence organizations do we have here in the United States? It's not one, it's not two, we literally have dozens. We have dozens, Cenk, dozens of agencies that make up our intelligence community. And they couldn't figure out that this was a school, that it was no longer part of an IRGC base. It hasn't been part of an IRGC base for 7 effing years. Why are we spending $1 trillion a year on our military? Who are these intelligence officials and why are they still working as intelligence officials? They should be in prison.
Yeah. So there's 3 possible, in my opinion, 3 possible set of people who might have made the mistake, if it's a mistake, of targeting this school. And so that's why the report is being covered up. If it turns out nobody made a mistake and everything was kosher, which is impossible because we killed 170 innocent girls, right? Then if they hadn't done anything wrong, they'd release a report right away. The fact that they're burning the report shows you they've done something terribly wrong. Then the only question is who did it, right? I'm gonna go in least likely to most likely order. A possibility is that Israel gave us wrong intelligence. Israel's always bragging about, we give you intelligence. That's you. I mean, we steal hundreds of billions of dollars from you and we make you fight all our wars, but we give you intelligence. It's usually intelligence on who to murder. Right?
Why are we relying on their intelligence if we have dozens of intelligence agencies here in the United States? Why are we relying on the intelligence of a tiny, irrelevant piece of crap country? Explain that to me.
Yeah, because it's part of their manipulation. Because the only intelligence they give us is how to attack their enemies.
We don't need to outsource our intelligence to a genocidal regime, but that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, I defy anyone to show me one actionable intelligence Israel gave us that helped us instead of them.
Oftentimes they withhold valuable intelligence that could prevent certain things from happening.
Anyways, okay, but that's the least likely here. More likely it was somebody internally that made a mistake here in America. So obvious possibility is Hegseth. By the way, all right, I'll come back to how much Hegseth loves the IDF mentality, but Hegseth is the idiot who thinks that there should be no, I guess rules of war or war crimes, and he thinks it's like a manly thing to murder innocent women and children. I don't know if he's ever read the Bible. I don't know if he's heard of a movement called pro-life movement, and they think that killing babies is a terrible thing. Killing children is like the worst thing that a Christian could possibly do. But Hegseth is like, I'm such a good Christian. I'm the murderer of their children. Are you a good? I don't. Again, like the Israelis do more damage to Judaism and Jews than anyone else, and guys like Hegseth do more damage to Christianity. Please don't claim you're a model Christian, because no one believes that people are disgusted by your actions, including plenty on the right. But the most likely guilty party is Palantir or any other defense contractor that screwed up the coordinates here, screwed up the intelligence. But if they tell you that it's Lockheed Martin or Palantir, well, then that's going to make you question the billions and billions and in a meta sense, the trillions that we're giving to all the defense contractors. Maybe we shouldn't give all that money. Oh, but Washington is built on that corruption. So if it meant you had to murder a couple hundred, Iranian girls, it's a small price to pay for the defense contractors making a literal killing.
People have the audacity, the freaking audacity, to fearmonger about how Iranians cheer death to America. Have you maybe considered what America has done to Iran? Have you considered that? Because let me tell you something, if a child in my family were slaughtered, I would probably chant the same thing. But I guess when it comes to certain groups of people, certainly in the Middle East, doesn't matter. You can slaughter their kids, and if they're upset about it, if their parents are upset about it, you're gonna fearmonger about their parents being angry that their kids got slaughtered. Okay, going back to Hegseth real quick, Cenk, real quick. Weeks after this bombing of the Manab Elementary School in Iran, here's what Hegseth said. Warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. We saw what your workouts look like. You are a pathetic coward. Okay, I laugh at you. We all laugh at you. You're not a tough guy, you are pathetic. But there's more. He also said this. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. I don't know if there's ever gonna be any justice with everything that's played out over the last 2.5, nearly 3 years. But if we lived in a world where justice reigned supreme, the only person, not the only person, but one of the people who would be in shackles for the rest of his life would be Pete Hegseth, a war criminal, a pathetic, pick-me piece of crap who thinks he's a tough guy, who's obviously acting the way he's acting because he's got a chip on his shoulder and he thinks he's got something to prove. The only thing he's proven to us is that he remains an incompetent alcoholic whose own family members loathe him. That's who Pete Hegseth is.
Yeah, so in his book, Pete Hegseth talked about how we should be more like the Israelis. And that the IDF had this great, quote, warrior culture. What warrior culture? The slaughterer of children? Earlier in the show, we told you about an independent commission that just concluded that Israel targeted and deliberately killed children, including in neonatal and maternity care wards. They tortured and sexually abused children. And Hegseth thinks, what a bunch of brave warriors. We should do just like them. And by the way, we have started to do just like them. That's why this was a double tap.
Disgusting.
A double tap is a war crime. It is what the Israelis do on a regular basis. And our media goes, oh, I don't see it. I never see anything that Israel does wrong. No, that is murdering the medical workers that show up to help the injured. It is a disgusting thing to do. No, we should not do the warrior culture of murdering innocent medical workers and innocent children like the Israelis. Hegseth went so far as to say that our military should be merged, and now they're trying to merge the militaries under Hegseth, and that the IDF should be in the streets of America. Like, I mean, so like as you see his barbarism here and his like bragging about how he's the murderer of children. Remember that he was obsessed, and he talked about this on Fox News. He talked about it all over his book about how we should be more like the Israelis, and which makes me wonder. I mean, I don't know that we're ever going to get an investigation as to who Israel has been funding inside this country, because they'll howl and howl. Oh, anti-Semitic. Okay, Christian Pete Hegseth is theoretically a Christian. Okay,
he's no Christian. He's a disgrace. He's a disgrace.
Yeah. So why is he randomly obsessed with us handing over our military to Israel? Complying with Israel, emulating Israel. That is a super strange obsession for a guy who claims to be such a Christian, right? Like, there's no reason why Christians and Jews can't get along, but he's like so proud of just being Christian. But meanwhile, he's like, we should do exactly what the Jewish state tells us to do.
Regardless of how loathsome our government might be, I think the people of the United States, based on the polling, have chosen a side here, okay? They have chosen the side of, we don't want to be savages. Americans don't want to be savages and they don't like savages. The IDF behave as savages. And so, and Pete Hegseth thinks of himself as a savage. He's a pathetic coward, but he looks at the IDF, he looks at the slaughter of all those innocent people, and he thinks, I want to do that. I think that's the right way to conduct war. In reality, it's genocide, but I want to give you just one example of what Pete Hegseth's preferred conduct in war looks like. Mohammad Reza Ahmadi Tifakani, who lost 2 children in this bombing, this double tap bombing of the elementary school in Manab, shared what he experienced. So his daughter, Haniye, is 7, and her brother, Soban, was 10. They had re-entered the building after the first bombing to look for their sister, just to be killed in the double tap. Okay, so Tifakani says, I personally went to the morgue and identified both of them. Soban was missing an eye and half of his face was gone. His legs were broken. Hane's skull was fractured, but her face was intact. I recognized Soban at first glance, even though he was severely injured. We did that. We did that. We did that to those little kids, to this guy's 2 children we slaughtered in a double tap strike. And Hegseth looks at that and he thinks freaking fantastic. Freaking fantastic, right? As we fearmonger about terrorism and terrorists in the Middle East, maybe we're the terrorists. Have you considered that? So much, it brings me deep shame. Democrats have attempted to force transparency. Democrats haven't done jack, okay? Democrats haven't done jack. I'm not even gonna pay it lip service. They've done nothing. Okay, Dan Golden is like making a big deal about some rando coffee shop in New York City. Goldman, sorry. Rando coffee, what did I say, Golden? Yeah, sorry, Goldman.
Yeah.
I guess because he's a Zionist, not because he's Jewish, but he's a Zionist, which means he loves all this stuff. He defends all this stuff, he funds all this stuff, provides cover for it. A coffee shop in New York City didn't want to serve him. And he's freaking, everyone's making a big deal about it, like he's a freaking victim. He's a United States member of Congress. He's a person in a position of power who is aiding and abetting the slaughter of literal children in the Middle East. I'm supposed to feel bad for him because he can't get his freaking caramel macchiato? What are we doing?
No, but look, that goes to the people in power in this country, the establishment, and they don't know how atrocious they are, but they're deeply immoral people, because when they saw the Goldman story, I saw like all the media flipped out. They're like, first of all, of course, the coffee shop was called anti-Semitic. You know, the coffee shop said that you should vote for Goldman's opponent, Brad Lander, who's also Jewish.
I wish I remembered the name of the coffee shop.
Okay, I think it's Poetica, if I'm not mistaken, in Brooklyn, I think. So we could look it up. So like, oh, you're supporting a Jewish American who is not in favor of genocide. You must be an anti-Semite. Wait, what? What? Okay, so they're like, no. American media cared so much more about Dan Goldman's coffee than they did about all these dead children. They're like, oh yeah, all the dead children in Iran that we did, and all the dead children in Palestine that Israel did, and Lebanon. It's who cares? Dan Goldman didn't get his coffee. Oh, now I'm really concerned. This is, I mean, to support a different Jewish American who's a good person is so anti-Semitic. I'm devastated. I'm verklempt, and that's how they all acted. Like that's like the biggest crime in America. No, what Hegseth did is a billion times worse. And so look, to be fair, Hegseth has been criticized. So he's not an Israeli, so he can be criticized. But we cannot adopt these tactics. We can't do double taps. It'll ruin our morality. It'll ruin the idea of America being a shining city on a hill. Let's at least try to live up to those ideals. And I think a lot of Americans do want to live up to those ideals. And to Anna's point earlier, look, the one thing I am encouraged by is I'm seeing a ton of real Americans, not like the most immoral people in the country, which are the mainstream media and our politicians, but like real Americans that are really pissed at America for killing all those innocent girls. because they genuinely are pro-life. I mean, look, the left is of course irate over it, and tons of independents are pissed, but even some on the right.
A lot of people on the right.
A lot of people on the like, what are we doing killing 170 little kids?
And that's what our country is. When I think about our country, I think about the people of this country, the people who've been speaking out, left, right, center, it doesn't matter. Our government is not representing who we are, and we should be furious about it. Pete Hegseth infuriates me because he's the type of person who represents us on a global stage, and he is a disgrace, not just to this country, but to the human race, okay? That's what Pete Hegseth is. That's what our government, our current government is. They don't even give a damn about their own people, much less people and children in other countries. But anything for Israel, like little dogs being dog walked, like little bitches, that's what our government is.
Look, last thing for me is, why do we get so upset about Israel? Like North Korea does terrible things, China's got the Uyghurs in concentration camps, etc. right? And we cover all those stories, and I've had the representatives of the Uyghur government in exile here, etc. And so we care more because we're funding it. And that's a moral stain on our conscience. And to take our money that we desperately need now and to give it over to a genocidal government is unbearable. But what's even worse is when we do it directly. So you should be more angry at this Hegseth story and how we did a double tap on a girls' elementary school than any other story there is. Because that's us directly engaging in terrorism.
Yep.
And that's not what the American people are about. We're way better than that. And we need to demand our so-called representatives and our so-called leaders act better than that. Act as moral as the American people actually are.
All right, that does it for this hour. When we come back for the second hour, we'll talk about what Zohran Mamdani's leadership looks like, especially when fake cries of anti-Semitism are lodged in his direction. He's not buying it, and he's unapologetic. We'll be right back.
Hey Andrew, what's up?
Hey Cenk, you ready to make the switch?
Yeah, I guess.
I promise it's easy, universal, basic, and you get income.
Yeah, you keep saying that. But you sure I'm gonna have coverage?
Of course you will. You think I would have bad service? I'm Andrew Yang, of course I have good service.
All right, let's try it. But I'm so bad at tech. So, wait, should I do this thing of the hashtag business? Andrew, you're still on, right?
Yep.
Oh, I see it. No, wait, I don't see. Oh yeah, I do see it. Here we go.
I actually did not realize that you'd be searching in real time, but I love it.
How much do people actually normally say?
Yeah, the average American is gonna save between $500 and $1,000 a year on Noble.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm gonna do, Andrew? Are you ready to become a Noble member? The 2 buttons are do it and go back. There's no going back, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Here we go, Noble Mobile.
Oh my gosh, I just called you and are you now on Noble and not Verizon?
Why didn't you tell me it was gonna be super easy?
I know, man. Now you just stay away from your phone and watch the money roll in.
I can do that, here you go, phone, yeah.
What the f? Cenk, you still there?
Andrew? Oh, well, at least I got Noble Mobile.
It was really just one take. The whole thing is wild.
It's in my shoe. It's in my shoes.
Hi, I'm Brett Ehrlich with breaking news with Brett Ehrlich. This is breaking news with Brett Ehrlich. Hi, Brett Ehrlich here. According to EPA head Scott Pruitt, climate change is not happening. He cited a meme on Facebook he saw. When pressed to back up this source, he said it must be accurate because the watermark said it was made by a scientist. So, your move, Truth.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concerned for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
You are the media revolution. You are much needed.
TYT, TYT.
The place is like 95% TYT on.
You guys, the Young Turks, which is my favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Cenk and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
The people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning. They seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you guys.
The United States and Israel got spanked. Bad.
You spanked that ass.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. And Indigo73, thanks for hitting the join button below on YouTube. It makes a huge difference for us and we appreciate it. I'm gonna read one quick comment from Twitch. Angry Com wrote in, I have a feeling there would be more outrage if the IDF murdered 100,000 puppies. There's no question about that. And that's so heartbreaking.
It depends. Would the puppies belong to the Palestinians? Because in that case, no, they would not feel bad about it.
I mean, I know Americans would, but Americans feel bad about the children. But mainstream media might be like, yeah, you're right. They might be like, oh, those are Palestinian puppies. They don't have a right to exist.
I know.
All right, okay, let's go to the next story.
They move millions in dark money to accomplish a single goal: to preserve their power so that they can turn us against one another, instead of our leaders turning towards the moral change we all know to be necessary. In the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we need not live in fear of monsters any longer.
So Zohran Mamdani talking about AIPAC there, and boy, did the Israelis catch feelings. That led, of course, to all of American media and all American politicians catching feelings. How dare he say that about dark money used to bribe all of us? Oops. Yeah, that's why they're so angry, but that emotional manipulation didn't work this time. Anna, tell us about it.
It didn't work, and it's because when you have moral clarity, you know that you can stick to your guns and not worry about losing the people who support you, and that's exactly what happened in this case. But Cenk, honestly, even though there was backlash, there's a giant silver lining to this story, so just stick around because I'm gonna make my case on that in just a moment. But first, here are the details. So Mamdani did receive some backlash after he called out AIPAC's undue influence over our government and how they have turned to moving money around, dark money specifically, in order to conceal the fact that the Israel lobby is still, funding certain politicians, boosting certain campaigns. As we all know, there are Democratic voters who are paying close attention to who AIPAC is funding. And if a candidate is taking AIPAC money, they're less likely to get support from Democratic voters, which is why the dark money situation is really ramping up with the Israel lobby, AIPAC being one component of the Israel lobby. Now, here's what Mamdani's haters have to say. Then we'll get to those who are actually defending him, because he does have people defending him. So Rabbi Yaakov Berman, a liaison for the Hasidic Lubavitch sect, told Politico that he was horrified by no, you're not. Horrified by Mamdani's AIPAC outburst, arguing it flies in the face of commitments the mayor made to not engage in rhetoric that could stoke violence. These people are.
I laugh at that, Rabbi. I laugh in his face.
That is the most pathetic thing I've read all week, and I've read a lot of pathetic things.
I mean, Israel supporters were secretly funneling millions of dollars to buy off American politicians. But if you actually point that out accurately, you're stoking violence.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna probably piss off more people than I want to piss off. But look, in the for lack of a better way of describing it, please don't get on me too much, but in the hyper woke era, okay? When people would just respond to things they didn't like with "I feel unsafe," it just became super unbearable and laughable, to be honest with you. It was just a way to shut down conversation. I feel unsafe when they're like, no one's unsafe, no one's actually being threatened with violence. Zionists do that like times a million. Like they love to talk about how unsafe they are. When they don't feel unsafe, they just want to shut down the conversation.
Oh, that rabbi's an obvious liar.
Yeah, you really, Rabbi Yaakov, you feel unsafe, really?
Okay, he's like, if I can't bribe American politicians, then how could I possibly be safe?
There's more. The bottom line is that the people who hear it see it as a silent endorsement of violence.
What a Yaakov.
Okay, one more. It's incredibly dangerous.
So dangerous to find out about our bribes.
The mayor has a responsibility to watch the way he speaks, especially if, as he says, he cares about all New Yorkers.
In other words, he cares about Israel supporters more than anyone else.
Yeah.
And is quiet about how we're bribing everyone. Look, the bribes are legal. We've talked about it a million times on the show. Big Pharma does it, Big Oil does it. And when they do it, it's okay to criticize. But when the Israeli lobby does it, violence, unsafe, oh my God. No, you're just like Big Pharma and the other lobbies. You're, in my opinion, a bunch of criminal thugs who, because the Supreme Court legalized bribery, bribe all of our politicians and steal our money.
100%.
So, okay, you can I feel unsafe. You're about, Rabbi Yaakov is in favor of robbing me of my money and sending it to Israel to kill Palestinians. I'll trump you. I now feel less safe to you. And especially because you're an Israeli supporter, that means you're a genocide supporter.
100%.
You're in favor of genocides. I'm for peace.
You're the dangerous one.
I don't want any Jewish, Muslim, Palestinian, or Israeli person getting hurt. You apparently celebrate and demand that we fund genocide. So if anybody feels unsafe, it's definitely us. So that's it, you're not allowed to give money anymore. It doesn't work that way, right?
It's amazing. So then you have Representative Josh Gottheimer, one of the individuals who loves fear-mongering about Mamdani. He says-
He's one of the biggest anti-Semites in the country, Josh Gottheimer.
He says, monsters, dark money, a hidden hand turning us against one another. Swap AIPAC for Jews. Okay, let's just pause.
But don't. We didn't.
But don't. How about don't? How about AIPAC is a lobby for Israel? Okay, it's a lobbying group. A lobbying group. It's not a people's. Okay, it's not all Jewish people. It doesn't endorse something or promote something that all Jews worldwide are in support of. Okay, so no, we don't have to do that because that's not even possible. You are comparing a group of people with a lobbying group. He thinks we're stupid, but anyway, let's keep going.
Okay, no, but I want to stay on that for 1 second because Gottheimer is one of the biggest anti-Semites in the country for 2 reasons. This is one of them. So we say Israel or AIPAC, he says Jews.
Yeah.
Like my Jewish nephew and niece didn't fund any senators, okay, or congressmen. They're not monsters, they don't give dark money. So stop smearing all Jews because you want to protect the lobby that bribes you, by the way.
Stop using Jewish people as a human shield. It's disgusting.
100%.
It's disgusting and defamatory, but okay, let's continue. Swap AIPAC for Jews, and it's the oldest anti-Semitic conspiracy theory in the books.
Really? PAC money was in the books for thousands of years? That's the oldest, like they'll call anything a trope.
Anything's a trope.
Now super PACs have been a trope for thousands of years?
Yeah.
What a hilarious lie.
Yeah.
And the idiots in American television take this guy seriously.
He says, that's laundering anti-Semitism from your podium as mayor of a city with more than 1 million Jews. This BS is dangerous, he says. Okay, anyway, so here's the thing that gives me a little bit of hope here. Mamdani's reaction to the backlash, which we'll get to in just a second, but also the fact that there are plenty of people defending Zohran Mamdani. There was some concern that Zohran Mamdani would maybe get rejected by the Democratic candidates he endorsed recently. And that actually hasn't happened, so let's give you the details. Let's start off with Moshe Indig, who is an anti-Zionist Hasidic rabbi who probably doesn't appreciate getting lumped in with the genocidal Israeli regime. So here you have a Jewish individual who says the idea that monster means anti-Semitism, definitely not. They are upset that he's against the Zionist government, and no matter what he does, whatever he says, whatever word he uses, they will criticize him. They are upset that he's fighting against AIPAC. That's what this is about. Mr. Indig, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for representing a pretty significant population of Jewish Americans, especially, who see what's going down in the Middle East and they don't support it. But they never get represented in our media. Their voices are never heard. And unfortunately, they get smeared and lumped in with these freaks. And we need to be more vocal in differentiating the two. And despite morons like Gottheimer, it looks like up-and-coming Democrats or Democrats seeking re-election who might have gotten to support from Zohran Mamdani, they're not rejecting that endorsement. In a sign of New York candidates' growing reluctance to show sympathy for AIPAC and their fear of alienating voters who despise the pro-Israel lobby, none of the House hopefuls in the 3 primaries Mamdani has endorsed were willing to criticize the popular mayor's remarks. Instead, they defended the mayor or opted not to say anything at all. And it might have something to do with, let's go to graphic 7 here. This is a CBS News poll showing that 78% of Americans want to end the conflict in Iran now. You're losing the American people, Israel. And for the Israel loyalists here in the United States, you are in the minority.
They don't know that at all, and I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like they think because when they turn on TV, they're constantly telling them how great Israel is and how the poor Lebanese are invading them or whatever lunatic thing that they're saying on CNN and Fox News. And so they think they're in the majority. And they look at 78% of the country and they're like, what radicals?
Yeah.
These people, they won't even bow to Israel. They're so weird and they're so unacceptable. They're all disqualified. I know they're so used to in American media and government constantly using this word disqualifying. They use it against Grant Plattner all the time because he's against Israel. So they're like, oh no, he's disqualified. I don't think you know what that means.
Turns out you guys have actually helped him with your disqualification.
Yeah, but that's because you keep telling 80% of Americans that are against Israel, that are against Israel's wars, hey, remember, this guy's unacceptably anti-Israel. Please, keep talking, okay? So now I want to go back to Gottheimer. Remember, Arabs are also Semites, right? So Gottheimer thinks we should fund Israel's genocide. So you can't get any more anti-Semitic than saying killing 76,000 Semites in Gaza wasn't enough. We need to murder more Semites. We need to murder more Semite children. That's the 23,000 Palestinian kids killed. It doesn't get any more anti-Semitic. He's anti-Semitic against Jews in America, keeps smearing them as if they're all in favor of genocide. He's anti-Semitic against Muslim Arabs, who he says we should fund their destruction and their deaths. So that's the disgusting monster Josh Gottheimer is. Oh, did I call you a monster? Are your feelings hurt? Yeah, I don't care that your feelings are hurt, Josh. Okay, I don't care at all. Like you think that you're entitled to have me bow to you when you throw the trump card of my feelings have been hurt. Well, I just saw your trump card and I ripped it up. I don't give a damn about your feelings. You don't give a damn about 23,000 dead kids. And you want me to care about your feelings? You're one of the most disgusting anti-Semites in the country, and you want me to care about your feelings? No, I don't care. Now, look at his disingenuous attack. Can you believe Mamdani said it was dark money? It's literally called dark money. That's the name of that group, that category where you cannot trace where the money came from, okay?
Yep.
By the way, isn't it insane? Forget Israel, the whole lobbying operation that we've been against this entire time on the Young Turks for the last 20 years, that we have dark money and we don't know who's bribing our politicians. By the way, it could be the Saudis, it could be the Iranians, it could be the Chinese, it could be the
Well, it's unacceptable if it's them, Jake.
No, of course.
It's unacceptable if it's them.
Also unacceptable if it's Canada or the UK or any of these disgusting governments, okay? But if it's Israel, shh. Hey, look.
Do you guys remember how much Zionists in this country freaked out over Qatar giving Trump a plane?
Oh yeah.
And the reason why I didn't freak out about it is like, I actually enjoyed their tears because it's like, yeah, get a taste of your own medicine. They can't stand the notion that there might be another foreign country also bribing our politicians. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander, bitches. Okay, I don't want any foreign money bribing our politicians. I'd like it all out. But with them, No, we got to protect the Israeli bribes.
Okay, I mean, look, as usual, the American media is a joke. They're like, oh, the Qatari plane we see and we're outraged, monster Qataris with their airplanes. Meanwhile, Israel takes $4 billion a year off of us, has taken over $320 billion, taken $8 trillion in wars against all of their neighbors. Yep. And the press is like, I don't see it.
It's amazing. It really is amazing.
Come on. All right, last thing. AIPAC, he says you can't call them monsters. Okay, so AIPAC makes you sign a pledge to unconditionally support Israel. So they can commit a genocide, they can commit a Holocaust, it doesn't matter, it's unconditional. Yep. You're to hand over your money and shut up, Americans, okay? And then AIPAC is lobbying to fund a genocide and to fund all these wars that are getting us killed and spending all of our money. But he says, yes, they are for genocide, but you're not allowed to call them monsters. In fact, if you accurately point out who they are, then we're gonna say you're the monster and you should be canceled and fired and disqualified and eliminated from the national conversation. So there's only Israeli supporters in the national conversation, but that's all a coincidence.
So Zohran Mamdani was asked about the backlash he's been facing, and something tells me that the reporter who asked this question was maybe hoping or expecting him to maybe walk back some of his statements. Let's see if that happened. Let's take a look.
What do you say to those who are concerned that the language you used is dangerous?
Now, I want to be very clear. We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis. More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military since the so-called ceasefire. And when I am speaking about AIPAC, I'm speaking about an organization that has been supportive of the status quo, that has fought any attempt to actually deliver safety to people not just in Palestine, but frankly, through much of the region. And it is a status quo for immorality. It is one that I will not accept. And when it comes to the way in which they defend the status quo, oftentimes they defend it through direct contributions, as we are seeing right now in New York 13. Oftentimes they also support the status quo through dark money, by filtering money that would have previously been directly from AIPAC, now through other shell organizations whose identities of their contributors are only made clear after an election.
That's the most rational thing you could say. Those are all factually correct. And of course, the Zionists will flip out because that's all they ever do.
He refused to apologize.
Yeah, they're like, how dare you not bow to us and apologize for things that are perfectly accurate? Don't you know the truth is anti-Semitic? Okay, and no one is allowed to say the truth because then people would find out what Israel's doing. Okay, no, the truth is not anti-Semitic. Josh Gottheimer, AIPAC, and Israel supporters in this country are deeply anti-Semitic. They don't care about the lives of Arab Semites 1%. They've never shown that. And by the way, I mean, I love the Jewish leaders like we quoted earlier who are speaking out. If you're a Jewish leader and you're not speaking out and you're actually in favor of the genocide, you're gonna go in a museum one day and there's gonna be an exhibit about, yeah, can you believe these people who said never again? Here's that person, and that person leading all those organizations. They all turned around and said they were in favor of a genocide when the country they liked did it. That is a haunting place where you're gonna wind up in the future, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, for us, we believe in America and democracy. So sign the pledge, notanother.com. Do not ever vote for a politician who takes money from AIPAC or the Israeli lobby or gives them a single dollar for offensive weapons, defensive weapons, or for any reason at all. They're one of the richest countries in the world. They brag about it all the time. They say, the Americans are just jealous. Give us your money, okay? So, okay, you're a big country. You have universal health care. We don't. You have paid family leave. We don't. You have free college education. We don't. Okay, you've gotten enough.
If you think you have the right to exist, then exist without us providing welfare.
Yeah, what are you, a baby? Are you our baby? Like, oh, I want your welfare, If you don't give it to me, you're an anti-Semite, I exist. Okay, well then go exist.
Go exist.
What are you bothering us for? Notanother.com. Any so-called representative of ours that gives money to Israel is saying, I'm not your representative. I'm betraying you to serve Israel instead. So you should make sure they never win another election. You want to cry about that, Josh?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. He didn't didn't support Israel. He supported America. All people who support America are anti-Semites.
When we come back from the break, we're going to switch gears. We'll give you an update on that SpaceX IPO. If you're a retail investor invested in that SpaceX IPO, you're probably not happy today. I'll explain why.
I fully expect a daily proctology exam.
All right, back on TYT, guys. Too many comments here. I'll do the best I can. Mad Chemist writes in, this is from the beginning of the show, how the Israeli government is treating the Palestinians is so disgusting. Obviously true. Jenks Tricep of Fury says, I'm afraid to say that the trauma that these children have gone through can never be healed. It breaks my heart, effing Israel. No, you're not allowed to say that, okay? Asimov Prophet says, I hear talking about things helps you feel better. So how about the IDF soldiers talk with some people at The Hague about what they did? That would be some great therapy, and you can do yoga while you're talking, okay? But make sure you tell The Hague all the war crimes you committed and all the children you slaughtered. Oh no, they're allowed to slaughter children, you're not allowed to say it. Okay, anyways, guys, if this show and this network survives these wars, it'll be amazing. Because they're so mad at us. How dare you say things that are true? Don't you know media is for Israeli propaganda? Art Guy says the IDF is getting comeuppance and it can't happen soon enough. You're not allowed to say that. You have to be in favor of an invading, marauding, imperial fascist army if it's Israel's. They have a right to offense. SDM says, Jenk in that chest there, trying to live up to Lego video, Jenk. That's funny. Eclectic Miscellaneous says, how fittingly ironic that military drone technology that Israel helped develop is now being used by Hezbollah to defend Lebanon from the IDF. Some people claim that Hezbollah is not defending Lebanon. It's true, they're defending Norway. What? Funkin' for Fun says, there's no free speech crackdown in my country because I haven't been arrested yet. It's such a weak argument. Look to those who have been arrested, and a lot of people do say that. I didn't get arrested and I love Israel, so there must be free speech. Duh. All right, guys, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. Don't forget to ring the bell so you can keep up with the show. And don't forget to check out our Ban in the UK t-shirts on shoptyt.com. Well, that's fun, there it is, shoptyt.com. All right, let's go to the next story. Elon Musk just had that giant SpaceX IPO. So he's swimming in cash. No, he has to borrow money now. Wait, what? That historic $1 trillion IPO just happened like a minute ago. Why are we talking about borrowing money? Anna, help us understand this.
Well, Cenk, it turns out that the cost or the price of the SpaceX shares has actually gone down following news that SpaceX would need what's referred to as a bridge loan. Let's take a quick look at this graph because it'll kind of help you visualize what's happening to the share price for SpaceX following the initial public offering. So this is a chart from the New York Times. It represents how the price of SpaceX stock has changed since its IPO. And that IPO debuted at $135 a share, but by June 16th, it traded for just over $200 a share. But as you can see, the price dropped for several days in a row after that. And as we speak, the share of SpaceX trades for just over $156, okay? So it's not uncommon for the price per share to fluctuate following an initial public offering. So this is not outrageous, this isn't so crazy. However, the word of SpaceX needing to borrow $20 billion has made some of the investors into the company a little bit concerned, a little worried. And Bloomberg in this next video explains why. Take a look.
As the company yesterday said that they are seeking to raise investment-grade debt for the very first time. Bloomberg News has reported that they are seeking some $20 billion in debt. Now, this is an unusual move. This is early in the lifespan of a company to be seeking that sort of debt. Again, the company is not profitable yet. They have been burning through cash. And some of the language that they have used to talk to debt investors, let's take a look at that, because it's very similar to what we saw in their IPO prospectus. It is very grandiose. This company is talking about how our mission is to build the systems and technologies necessary to make life multi-planetary. Now, that sounds all fine and well if you're trying to drum up excitement for equity investors. Debt is a very different instrument. Some of these investors could be with the company for up to 30 years. They get paid at maturity. They get that interest as well.
Cenk, back over to you.
Yeah, look, there's something strange going on here. The point of the going public is to get the money you need to run your company, and it seems like they got plenty. I'm just perplexed by the $20 billion loan.
Let me really suss that out for all of you guys, okay? After just recently securing $86 billion in a record IPO, Elon Musk's SpaceX plans to raise at least $20 billion more by selling bonds. That just means loan. They need a loan of $20 billion. After $86 billion record IPO. Like, what's going on? What's going on here? Okay, so there's more. The proceeds from the bond offering will mostly be used to refinance a $20 billion bridge loan SpaceX took in March as it prepared to go public. Such loans basically ensure that companies planning to go public have the money they would need to wait out an unfavorable turn in market conditions. But why are you expecting an unfavorable turn in market conditions? Okay, it is hard to imagine that SpaceX needs more money. SpaceX told prospective buyers of the bonds that it had some $100.8 billion in cash and cash equivalent securities in the bank on June 19th. That's more than Microsoft had in the bank at the end of last year. Matt Phillips from Axios reported that. So look, I don't understand these things, right? Like, this is not my wheelhouse, and I feel like you have a firm grasp on these things, at least better than I do. So like, what do you think is happening here?
So look, massive speculation and then profiteering off the speculation. So let me break it down a little bit. So first, logic says that if you have $100 billion in cash and you have a $20 billion loan, you pay off the $20 billion loan. I get why they took the bridge loan in the first place to get to the IPO. Okay, and 20 billion for a company their size, all right, it's not irrational. But now you got 100 billion in cash. When you keep the cash, you can't spend it all at once, guys. So you've got to then invest the cash to some degree to get money back. So now you're paying interest, but then using the money to speculate that you're gonna make more money than you would in paying the interest on the debt. Otherwise, you'd pay them 20 billion back right away. You see what I'm saying? So let's say, I'm making up numbers here, that the interest on the debt you have is 5%. You're hoping to make more than 5%, 10% or whatever with the money cash that you have. So you're profiting off of that loan. But has nothing to do with the core business. Are you gonna build the business or are you not gonna build the business? I don't understand why these banks even agree to it. I would say, you got 100 billion in the bank, brother, you pay me my loan and I'm done. But anyway, some other guy, some other bank financed it, fine, they're allowed to do that. So now, the problem that I'm worried about is, so SpaceX says, oh, we're this amazing company already, and they're good, like they do interesting product, I get it, they've had some success. So two things can be true at the same time. You could have a great company worth $100 billion and then you pretend it's worth $1 trillion. So it's still a good company at 100 billion, but if you're pretending it's worth $1 trillion, that could create a giant problem, okay? So now, if you don't already have all these plans that you've made and that you're executing with $100 billion, then we have no idea how good your company is gonna be because you didn't even make those investments yet. And we don't even quite know what those investments are gonna be.
Oh my God, this is a disaster.
So, and your investment is multi-planetary life?
Oh my God, it's a disaster.
What are we gonna, we're gonna live in Uranus? I don't wanna live in Uranus, okay? So what are we doing? This is nonsense. People are gonna go pay to live in Mars or Saturn. No, they're not. In our lifetimes, that's just made up marketing gobbledygook, okay? That means they don't have real plans.
Okay. What happens to ordinary American workers who have been dutifully contributing to their IRAs or their 401ks, which of course tend to have a mix of mutual funds or ETFs and are very likely invested in SpaceX? And if SpaceX fails in some way, like what happens to those investors?
It doesn't even have to fail, guys. So let me give you the enraging scenario that some people are already living through, okay? So they take this price out at 135, they drive it up, everybody gets excited, and at that time, everybody's egging on the suckers at the table. And if you saw The Big Short or you read The Big Short, you know the suckers at the table are the guys who run the 401ks and the pension funds. So those are the guys that don't directly profit themselves from those funds. But they do get taken out to fancy dinners by the guys who are trying to rob them blind, et cetera. They get all these perks, et cetera. So they've set up this terrible system. So those suckers come in at 200 because obviously suckers did come in at 200. So then when it goes back down to 125 or even lower, if Elon was able to sell, and there might be rules around that, and you've got to look into see whether it's Elon, the original investors, et cetera. But certainly people insiders bought it at 135 when it first launched.
Right.
That is guaranteed.
Yes.
Okay. So when they sold at 200, they already made that profit without SpaceX making a single product. They already made that profit because they bought it and sold it. And the person who bought it at 200, when it goes back down to 135, already lost that money. Okay.
And remember.
So now, hold on one second.
Go ahead.
Even if from then on Elon makes zero profit from SpaceX, but if he was one of those insiders, well, then he already made billions upon maybe tens of billions of dollars just from the speculation on that stock. And he doesn't have to make a good product. He just has to profit off the speculation. And the speculation, where do those profits come from? From creating a good product like in capitalism? No, it comes from the suckers at the table. The guy who bought it at 200 and had to sell it at 135. He already lost his money, and that's you guys. So the 401k, the retail investor, the regular guy who bought the money, the pension funds, you're gonna get lost in that speculation. You're gonna lose very badly as you did in 2008. And then when Elon takes the money home and all the insiders take the money home, they're gonna go, what, capitalism? That's not capitalism. That's rigging the system to actually destroy competition, rob the average guy, and then claim you're doing it on behalf of free markets. This isn't how free markets work. This is corporatism, where they rob us blind.
So Tesla is not part of SpaceX yet. Right now, SpaceX is made up of several companies, if you will. So there's xAI, that's Elon Musk's AI company and the creator of Grok. You have Starlink, which is Elon Musk's satellite internet company, as well as SpaceX, which is the multi-planetary mumbo jumbo that he's pursuing, which seems cool as long as it's based on reality and not these grandiose dreams that aren't based in reality. Nonetheless, last year the three companies reported a loss of $5 billion on revenue of $18.5 billion. So they lost money. As of Monday's close, the stock was fetching 56 times expected sales for 2026. Analysts, meanwhile, don't expect SpaceX to turn a full year profit until 2028. Tesla is not part of SpaceX yet. Elon Musk has suggested that he wants to merge Tesla with SpaceX. Now, the following video will give you an example or an idea of whether SpaceX's valuation is ridiculously high. Take a look.
Elon Musk is preparing the largest initial public offering in human history. At a $1.75 trillion target valuation, SpaceX would be worth more than every American defense contractor combined. Worth more than the market caps of Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Disney, Nike, and Starbucks all put together. And worth more than the top 10 companies on the London Stock Exchange combined. So if you're wondering who the is buying SpaceX, a company losing $5 billion per year at the largest IPO valuation in history, well, the answer is you.
So, I don't know, and remember a story that I covered, if it wasn't last week, it was the week prior. We were talking about how this initial public offering is gonna make Elon Musk a billionaire or trillionaire, and people think, on the right especially, that the condemnations have to do with the fact that we're jealous. People are jealous that he's a trillionaire. No, in order to fast track this IPO, certain regulations were bypassed. Okay, he was able to bypass certain regulations that have been put in place to protect retail investors.
But remember, Donald Trump fired almost everyone that was overseeing fraud in the stock market and in white collar crime. He fired them from the IRS, the SEC, and almost every organization in the government. Remember, Doge came in looking for waste, fraud, and abuse and deregulation. They deregulated themselves so that they could do these kind of deals. So look, Adam Smith explained that in order to have free markets, you must have regulation, otherwise monopolies happen and oligopolies happen, and they destroy free markets because they destroy competition. You should actually read up on capitalism. So when the government doesn't function and there is no regulation, it creates a situation where the powerful and the wealthy can set up conditions where they profit and you can't, right? And there's so many of those, but I want to explain because I said they're robbing us blind. Look, they can do an IPO.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. If they loosen the regulations so that they could cheat, that would be a huge problem. We'll come back to that another time. We'll keep monitoring that, right? Now, when they treat the 401ks as the suckers at the table and you guys lose money, you right to complain and be angry. That's your retirement money that's going away. And then he gets to go, oh, you're just jealous of. No, but bro, you didn't even make any money with SpaceX yet. You made the money from the speculation, from the stock market, not from the actual product. But I'm mainly talking about the other robbery. Do you know how much money Tesla and SpaceX has gotten from us? From you? $38 billion from different government entities, at the federal government, the state and the local governments. $38 billion. Now, could you build a great company that loses $5 billion a year if you got $38 billion free from the American people? And then you got another couple of $100 billion free from the stock market? I mean, look, let's just keep it at $100 billion because that's the cash they have on hand. If somebody gives me $38 billion to start a company, and then the stock market gives me $100 billion because I did a great job of doing marketing hype or scam or whatever you want to call it. Now I have $138 billion. Could I lose $5 billion the next year? I think I could pull that off and be just as much of a genius as Elon Musk. Wow, you're so amazing. And I can tell you fairy tales about how I'm gonna take you on to Venus on a unicorn. Okay, but most important thing is stop the subsidies to these billionaires and trillionaires. Why are we giving trillionaires subsidies?
They need the help.
That is insane.
They need the welfare.
That is a robbery. That is corruption. That is dark money. That's why Elon, why do you think Elon gave Trump over $250 million when he was running? You think he did it for charity? You think he did it because he cares about you?
No.
No, he did it to get the $38 billion and to loosen the regulations so he could do a thing like this.
There's so much corruption, it's just so absurd. And for all the hate that so-called right-wingers, and I'm talking about establishment right-wingers, claim they have for redistribution of wealth, we've been redistributing wealth quite a bit in this country from the bottom to the top. There's no question. Anyway, one more story for you having to do with corruption. Let's focus on what Jared Kushner is up to. Let's go to Cenk.
So Jared Kushner is theoretically our peace envoy for the Trump administration, but at the same time, he's hawking a private equity firm. Which one is that? Oh, it's his. Huh, isn't that convenient? But he said he wouldn't do that while he was working for the US government, though not technically working for the US government, but totally in charge of our Middle East policy and our peace negotiations. That's so weird that he went back on his own word, Anna.
Not weird at all if you live in reality and are paying close attention to just how corrupt this administration happens to be. Now, I say administration knowing full well that Jared Kushner doesn't have an official or formal role in the federal government, but it doesn't matter. He is working on behalf of the Trump administration and he is using that position to enrich himself, which is something that keeps coming up over and over and over again when it comes to the Trump administration. So Kushner has spoken with potential investors in recent weeks about raising $5 billion or more for affinity partners, according to 5 people with knowledge of the talks who were not permitted to speak publicly about the discussions. As part of the fundraising effort, Affinity's representatives have already met with, of course, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. Two of the people briefed on the discussion said, I remember what Jared Kushner had to say about raising money for Affinity partners back in 2024. If you don't remember, let me refresh your memory. Take a look.
So the framework that I'm going to use for the business over the next couple of years is, number one, we're going to follow all the laws and the rules, and that goes without saying. Number two is we're going to do what we think is right. We're not going to make investments that we think we shouldn't make, and we'll be investing in things that we think align with the values of the firm and that we think are appropriate to make. And finally, I'm not going to allow people like the media or these ethics experts who, quite frankly, don't have real jobs and get paid to try to find potential conflicts that don't exist to change what we think and what we're going to do. We're going to follow what we think is right. And I think we're going to do good business in that regard. So that's kind of how we're thinking about it. So we preemptively tried to avoid any conflicts so we don't have to raise capital for the next 4 years.
It is 2026. That video was from 2024. They are raising capital from foreign countries, Saudi Arabia in particular, and it hasn't been 4 years.
Yeah, and remember, he's in Switzerland doing peace negotiations, not just for Iran and Israel, but also on behalf of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates and Qatar, the same exact people that he's now turning around and go, now if you want peace, you might want to give me a couple of $1 billion. Hunter Biden's got to be ripping out all of his hair.
He is.
It was I should have reached higher. What was I thinking? Modern art. What a weak scam.
Yeah, you guys are all trash. Let me be clear about that. But nonetheless, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is already the largest investor in Affinity Partners. Okay,
that's so weird.
Yeah.
It's because Jared Kushner had no financial experience before and had done the worst real estate deal in New York City history. That's so weird that no one else believed in him except the Saudis, who he apparently gave very sensitive intelligence to in the first Trump term.
Other Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds that invested earlier in Affinity, including those in the UAE and Qatar, are also expected to be asked for more, the people said. Wow, of course. Shocking. And while at Davos in January, Kushner also discussed his plans to raise billions in new investments for Affinity in private meetings with international business leaders, two people with knowledge of the conversation said. So what is Affinity Partners? Well, it's basically like a hedge fund that Jared Kushner started at the tail end of Trump's first term. In materials provided to potential investors this year and reviewed by the New York Times, Affinity indicated that more than 3/4 of the roughly $5 billion it raised since its founding had already been spent on investments in companies such as Phoenix Financial, an Israeli insurer, and Revolt, Revulo, I don't even know how to say that, a financial technology startup. And Cenk, you had requested this. This is the corruption scandals that we know of, at least during the Trump term 2. You've got the anti-weaponization fund. That was the slush fund that Trump had to back out of after Republicans shockingly had an issue with it. Kushner's private equity firm, that's what we've been talking about with the Affinity Partners. The Kratom lobbying, that was when one of the people selling this substance had lobbied heavily for the Trump administration to ban his competitors. Lutnick family data center investments, Trump's
I'm sure that was a coincidence.
Trump's meme coin, Trump's son's drone firms. They've been getting big no bid contracts from the Pentagon.
Giving your sons no bid contracts, probably not corruption.
No, not at all. It totally seems above board for sure. And then you have the plane that Trump was gifted by the Qataris.
So they're like, oh, Dick Cheney did no bid contracts for his former firm, Halliburton, during the Iraq War. Hold our beer, Cheneys.
I know.
Okay, wait till you see what we do. No bid contracts for our kids. Okay, and much larger than the Halliburton ones. Okay, it's unreal. So a story came out today that was interesting, and it was about how Trump was yelling at Bibi, one of those stories, and how he said even the Jews don't like you, and good, God bless, whatever. But inside that story, there was Jared Kushner apparently said that he was so frustrated by the Israelis during the peace negotiations because they had just murdered the peace negotiators,
right?
That he said, "I'm effing out the Israelis are crazy. Okay, so Kushner said that about the Israelis.
I don't believe it.
Now, Anna said when we saw that story earlier today that she didn't believe it. Now I'm like, look, no, I can believe that Kushner, as much as he loves Israel, is frustrated that they murdered the negotiator he was negotiating with, etc. And they are crazy, there's no question about it. But now that I'm thinking about it, if you want to raise billions from Gulf countries who are now super frustrated with Israel for starting this Iran war and getting them in a world of trouble, you might want to leak a story about how angry you are at the Israelis, wink, as you take their money and then invest it into Israeli companies.
Cenk, your heart is too pure and I need you to maintain it, okay? I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you have a pure heart. Let me be the jaded one. But next time I say, I don't believe it, I might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so Jared Kushner is now saying, now the fact that I am Donald Trump's son-in-law is not relevant, and the fact that I will give you any deal you like, but remember all your money is going to Israel, but I'm not with the Israelis, okay?
So dumb.
And yeah, and of course, everybody's livid over this corruption as they were over Hunter Biden, except some aren't, okay? But to be fair, tons of Americans are, and they don't want Jared Kushner ripping us off any more than they want Hunter Biden with his low-level scams.
Is the House Oversight Committee investigating this?
Because they investigated Hunter to no end, but billions of dollars in corruption. Apparently, they're not going to investigate that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, guys. Operation Joy, where we make you happier, coming up next. Everybody, stay right here. All right, back on Operation Joy, guys. Cenk and Anna with you guys. So we're gonna do a couple of things here, and as we normally do on Operation Joy, we're gonna read some of your comments from tyt.com/joy. We're gonna read some of your comments that you write in now, and then I want to talk to you guys, give you some, for whatever it's worth, advice and counsel on how to bring a little bit more joy in your life. Like nothing miraculous is gonna happen overnight. You know, it's a muscle you have to practice and train like any other muscle. And so today, one of the things I'm gonna tell you about is an idea I had earlier today, which is creating your joy jar. Okay, so that sounds funny, but you could make it literal. like a jar that you put pictures in, you put notes in?
I have a joy jar every day, actually. It's called my matcha latte, homemade matcha latte.
I thought you were gonna say whiskey. Okay.
Oh, well, that was during COVID.
Okay, yeah. So that's acceptable too. I mean, within bounds of reason, right? But so here, it's gonna relate to some of the things that folks wrote in on. So let me read that and then we'll talk about it as we go. So Samagio wrote in, today's my birthday and I just found out I'm pregnant with my 4th and last baby. My first pregnancy happened quickly and then my second pregnancy took about 18 months and ended in twins. This time it took 3 months. You are prolific, by the way. I am overjoyed at the thought of having my final baby and completing our family, even though I'm a little anxious that it could be twins again, LOL. So, I mean, it doesn't get any more beautiful than that.
Wait, hold on. I need to understand something. So what does that mean it took 3 months?
3 months of trying.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, thank God. I thought you meant like I just gave birth to twins and 3 months later I got pregnant again.
Well, no, I think that, 3 months of trying is what I'm getting out of it, and it might have been 3 months after.
Give yourself a break, it's okay. Damn.
Well, she wanted to complete the family. And by the way, I get the value of the kids growing up together.
Yeah, I get that too.
Right?
Yeah.
And so,
that's amazing, man. Women are amazing. We are amazing. Okay, I'm sorry. I know some people get like, oh, icky, feminist stuff. It's not even about feminism. It's just about like humans are incredible. Men and women are different. Men can do incredible things that women can't do physically, but like the ability to give birth is so amazing.
Yeah, no, I can't stop being amazed by it.
Yeah.
So I look at it a little bit differently as, so first of all, that's definitely true. But layered on top of that is, and I was just talking this weekend to my wife about this, which like we created 2 independent human beings.
It's amazing, yeah.
That's unbelievable. That's like the most miraculous thing in the world. And like you get together, you have a good time, and really 10 months later, 10 months later, a human being pops out. That's insane. And then they live independently from then on. So there's 2 kids in the world, 2 humans in the world that we created that wouldn't have otherwise existed. You should never stop being amazed by that miracle and appreciate it and soak it in, okay? So, and you obviously are, and I love that. And I love how excited you are about your family. And by the way, you just had twins, and this is going to be your 4th baby, and you're still excited. That means,
you love having babies and being a mother, and that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and look, since you have that perspective, one of the things we talk about in Operation Joy, and I've talked about it forever on TYT, so hard to escape your own perspective. It's the hardest thing in the world. That's why we have a lot of these political fights and these international fights, because people can't escape their own perspective. And they keep expecting everyone else to think like them, right? So what you don't know is a lot of moms couldn't handle that. So the fact that you love it is just amazing. My mom's like that. My mom's like, oh my God, I wish I had way more kids.
Same with my mom, yeah. I'm different.
Yeah, and
I love kids, but I just, I'm happy with the way my life is turned out.
Yeah, and everybody's different. And God, it can and this is perfect for Operation Joy. I'm sure all of you, almost all of you that watch this, like we're in the get off our ass business, right? Like let people have their own freedom and do whatever they want. Like, why is it our business to judge them unless they're hurting someone else, right?
Yep.
But if they're not hurting someone else, it's a free country, man. That's why we love America. Do whatever you want. Okay, Joshua Blackwell writes in, I finally joined TYT and Jen can thank Operation Joy for the decision clincher. Oh, fun. I needed to share my joy with you guys because you're right. We definitely need it with this insane news cycle. First off, I need to say how profound it is when you find your people. You guys don't talk at me. You respect my intelligence by stating the facts plainly read. I can turn off my brain when I'm working as it's just muscle memory, sweaty and dirty repetitiveness. The void is filled with information from you and other podcasts. My little joy this week was this. I've been working at my foundry for about 5 years. We got a new intern in foundry engineering this week. In his introduction, he oddly mentioned he's a history buff. Me too. So I sought him out to see where he's at. I've always I'm always ready to talk history. A couple of minutes on break, and I really like the guy. Old soul. Reminded me of myself at his age. Anyway, I talked a bit about how my main interest in study has been World War I and the preceding period. I love that moment in history, and I find it fascinating and horrifying. Anyway, the next day, the intern brings in a beautifully restored World War I era VPK camera. It's an amazing piece of photography engineering and was carried by soldiers on the battlefield. I told him one of my other hobbies is photography and that it was the coolest thing I'd seen in a long time. That's pure joy. I made an impact on the kid. He made one on the old man. Just had to share that with you guys.
I love that.
Yeah, Joshua, beautiful story. Exactly right. And you put that in your joy jar. Like in that case, I might literally, not that I've done this because I thought of it today, but I might start doing it. Write out like, World War I era VPK camera and put it in. And if you go back to that joy jar 4 years from now, 14 years from now, you take all the old notes and stuff, or you see a picture of it, right? You look at it and you go, oh yeah, remember when that guy was, and then he turned out to be such an ass. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, that's a beautiful moment. That's a beautiful moment. And when I see a young kid who's, working hard and doing the right things in the world. I mean, I'm gonna give such a funny example, but if you've seen Julian, he's the Dropside News reporter who interviews the Congress people on Capitol Hill. And he asked them these great questions. He asked AOC and a bunch of other Congress people these terrific questions. By the way, I heard that Washington is really irritated by him. They're like, this is a guy asking unauthorized questions. They're like used to reporters who ask the questions that they want asked and never bother them with questions they don't want. And Julian's asking them questions they don't want. So they're complaining about a real reporter on Capitol Hill. I met with him the other day in DC when I was there.
He's awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
As I'm talking to Julian, I'm thinking, like, this is like, that's your version of the story you had about the World War I photography, et cetera. I'm like, he cares. He's animated. He's,
bold.
Bold.
He's an actual journalist.
Yeah.
He's what journalists are supposed to be.
So I totally get it and I love it. I mean, this is not a story of age difference at all, but I remember when I first met Rashad Ritchie and we talked and that brother's a go-getter, man. And so he builds things. So, I mean, there's so much I related to there. And it's great to have someone who's got the same interests as you, et cetera. You feel like you're more connected. It's a more significant bond. So I love it. All right, let's go to Theater Goddess. She wrote in, I practice something that constantly brings me little moments of joy and helps brighten other people's day. Be an unapologetic cheerleader. If you feel the impulse to compliment someone, just do it. Don't make it a big thing. Don't expect anything in return because people don't owe you a big reaction. Okay, she's got more, but I'm gonna pause there. Oh my God, I love this. Like, you know what a compliment costs you? Nothing, nothing at all. And in fact, it usually makes you feel good too, not just the person receiving the compliment. So I give compliments all the time, but I never even thought to get something back. Because to me, like if you're waiting for a compliment back, that kind of defeats the point, right? And do it so often that you don't even think about it. And so I agree with every part of this, but she's got more that makes sense. She says, just say the nice thing and either go about your business or start a conversation if circumstances allow. Releasing these good vibes into the universe hopefully makes someone else feel better. And I find the reactions I get very satisfying, even the slightly bemused ones. It's important to make sure it's an honest compliment. If you're saying something just to compliment someone, their nonsense meter will go off. So make sure it's something you really appreciate about them. Also make sure to compliment someone on something they can control. Like instead of saying your eyes look pretty, try your makeup really makes your eyes pop. And then she concludes, when you see someone doing something impressive, comment on how much work it took to get that good rather than their talent. Complimenting someone's choices is always a safe choice because people always love to hear how their shirt is cool or how nice their manicure looks. I could go on, but I think you all understand that the art of complimenting people is about what they do and choose rather than who they are. So that's another two great points. So first, from the way I do it, like if I see someone wearing like a big hat, right? That's a little bit different, right? They're going to church and they put on this spectacular hat, right? And if I like it, if I think it's ridiculous, I'm not going to say it looks good, right? But if I like it, I'm like, that's a wonderful hat. Remember, she took time to choose
took a
that
risk.
hat.
She took a risk.
She took a risk.
Hats are almost always a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it paid off for her. She looks nice. So tell her that.
Totally. By the way, my best friend, Lauren, we went to a birthday party together over the weekend, and she was wearing a red beret. Like, she was dressed in kind of like a French looking outfit, and she had a red beret. And I thought of Curtis Sliwa.
Oh,
and I was like,
don't tell that.
I did explain. I was like, oh my God, you're reminding me of Curtis Sliwa. He's the best. And I was starting like talking about who I kind of love him, actually.
He's funny these days.
He's hilarious. I find him so interesting. Look, I don't want him to necessarily be my representative, but the guy has interesting things to say. And honestly, lately he's been saying a lot of correct things.
I know, that's true too. And the good thing about Curtis is that he's a New Yorker, so he doesn't care. Right?
Yes.
He'll just tell you. Right?
Oh, I love that style. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. Oh yeah, the red beret. Yeah.
Yeah. Lauren would look lovely in a red beret.
She did. She looked gorgeous, as always.
And yeah, make sure it's real, right? If you're just complimenting people on rando stuff, there's no need for that, right? And everybody has something different that they do that's good that you can compliment them on.
I have a compliment it was a risky compliment, but it worked out perfectly. Sometimes I say things impulsively without thinking before I say it. And so after I said the compliment, I worried that it was gonna come off as not genuine when it really was. So our server was like a young guy who had beautiful hair.
Yeah, beautiful hair.
He did though, he literally had it was styled really nice. It was a little longer, but it was feathered. It looked like it was flowing in the wind when there was no wind. He was indoors. And so when I saw him, I was like,
Brian Tyler Cohen?
No.
Because he's changed his hair to that style.
Oh, I didn't know that. But anyway,
I like it.
So this guy, I was just it just kind of came out of me. I didn't even think about it before I said it. And I was like, yes, get it, boy, that feathered hair. I did that. And Christian was like, what are you doing?
Oh, that's funny.
But he loved it. He was like, thank you. He's like, my aunt is a hairstylist and she did it for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it actually did look good. I wasn't trying to make fun of him or anything like that.
No, of course.
It just looked so nice. I want to.
Beautiful hair.
He really did.
Did he have 6 fingers?
No, he didn't have 6 fingers.
Yeah, 6 fingers.
He had 6 fingers on his hands. We gotta bring that video back. Mountain Man was an OG.
He was epic.
Yeah,
literally. All right. So theater got us perfect. Okay, Velvet Jones. A couple years ago, I had an unexpected visitor at my brewery that made my life a bit brighter and delightfully darker. A guy and his companion rolled up in a black and deep purple Gothmobile. They were clearly my people. After some conversation, he let me know that he's a guitarist in a haunt and roll band in Buffalo called Cemetery Echo.
Echo.
By the time they left, I had listened to their self-made EP and ordered it on vinyl. I've been a massive fan of Cemetery Echo ever since.
What's a vinyl? I'm kidding.
Okay. Skip jumped in to explain. Okay. No, we don't blame you. There's an excellent chance you didn't know.
I'm gonna be 40 soon. I know what a vinyl is. A vinyl record.
Oh, okay, all right, God bless. He continues, I got the great news recently. They've had their first full-length album coming soon, and they actually got signed by a label. I'm so happy for my friends. They work really hard on their music and are incredibly talented. I'm ecstatic that they're getting the respect that they deserve. You should check out their new single, Cannibalistic Underground Nihilist Teens, a tune about how the younger generation is forced to be the arbiters of social change, packaged in a delightfully campy, undead storyline, pure goth gold. Quote, give us your brains, give us your hearts, give us a reason not to tear this world apart. How can I rest in peace when I can't afford a place to sleep? I don't mean to bite the hand that feeds. I just need something to eat.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Okay, that echoed across many cemeteries. Okay,
sure did.
See, look, so that's not my, goth is definitely not my cup of tea or my, mug of beer. But I love that you're into it, and I love that you got to meet them, and now they got the thing, and you're happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, we find solace in art, in nature, and I love hearing that you found a band and have made friends with them that really resonates with you, your style, what you care about. We're all so thirsty for human connection, and art is a way for humans to connect. Anyway, I'm just rambling.
So take a picture, that you took with them. I assume you did when they rolled up in the Gothmobile, and put it in your joy jar. Okay, so
I gotta say, joy jar sounds ridiculous.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But look, guys, anytime. So come back to that for a second. So why do I say do a jar of joy, or however you want to call it? Because when you do the act of writing it down, whether it's a note, right? I'm so psyched that Cemetery Echo got a record deal. Put that in, or you put your picture in. You're doing an act that makes you focus on that moment of happiness. So every minute that you're focusing on what brought you happiness, you're more happy. It's actually a virtuous cycle. That's why gratitude and appreciation are the #1 indicator of happiness. Think about it, when you appreciate something, you focus on it. You focus on something that you liked, that made you happy, that you are grateful for. And that creates that virtuous circle of appreciation and happiness, because you're choosing to focus on that thing that's positive, right? So the other second biggest indicator of happiness is the bonds that you have between family and friends, right? So strong bonds with loved ones plus gratitude, and you're off to the races. And guys, oh, you know what? I'm gonna save a story that I had. No, I'll say it now. So we take an Uber the other day. We went to go see some old friends. They were in from London, so obviously I had to see them here and not there. Okay, and we went and watched the Turkey soccer match, Paraguay, where we got humiliated. But anyway, that definitely didn't go in my joy jar. Okay, so nor did the money that I lost. It came out of the joy jar into a different jar.
Hey, but you know what? Oily wrestling, Turks will probably beat them.
Okay, I mean, if we had a World Cup in oil wrestling, okay, it would be amazing. Anyways, so we got drunk, and it was old school. And I was like, well, hey, both Wendy and I got drunk, and we haven't done that in a long time.
Wow.
Okay, so we had to take an Uber back home, and that's where I met the most successful person that I met in a long, long time. So I make note of the people that I meet that are super successful. So this brother drives an Uber, and he says, whatever I have, I spend on my family, okay? And so I usually come home to $0, okay? But the next day I go out there and make more money, and then I go home, and then we enjoy it together. And every once in a while I accumulate enough money, and then I immediately use it to take my family on vacation, okay?
Nice.
And he's like, and every day I'm happy, and every day I go home happy, and I share that happiness with my family. And he said, people say to me, well, do you like your job? He's like, well, of course I like my job. If I didn't like my job, why would I want to be unhappy? I'd stop and I'd go get a job I do like. And I was like, damn, this brother's got it figured out, okay? And then he told me a story about how he has this cousins who are a little bit richer than the rest of the family. And he said, but the problem is they're always running away from everyone, right? They barely spend any time with us. And then they go and like to their own room or whatever if we're hanging out as a family, and they barely spend any time with us. And I'm thinking in my head, yeah, from their perspective, maybe they got hassled by others, like, hey, you guys got money, I need this, I need that, and stuff. That happens, right? But then when you isolate yourself, you've done great damage, right? And he's like, yeah, the rest of us are downstairs having cervezas and having the time of our lives, and I feel bad for them.
They're probably also, I mean, I don't know. Where is this? Is this in the States or in?
This is in America. His name is Pablo. So,
okay.
And so he's Latino, but I don't know where.
Okay, just to make a little extra money, you really got to dedicate every waking moment to working. So they're probably exhausted, and they probably already had self-isolated by working more. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a period of time. You guys remember when I was absent a lot from the show fairly recently? I was working too much on a million different things, and it got to a point where Christian called me out and was just like, you're never around. Like, we never see you. You're constantly working. And my knee-jerk reaction was to get irritated by it because it's like, I'm your wife and this money is for our household and like, how dare you? You know, like you should be applauding me for working as hard as I am. But he was totally right. Like when you work too much and you don't have that balance, you're not spending as much time as you could be spending with your family, with your friends. Like you gotta stop and ask yourself, am I doing what's making me happy? And I wasn't. I think I was trying to escape and like run away from problems I was having in my life, you know? And so I ended up quitting some of those jobs. The ones I didn't want to quit, I got fired from. And here I am, and honestly, I am happier today than I was even like 5 months ago. Way happier.
Yeah, so I'm totally with you. And so, the next morning I told the kids, hey, I met one of the most successful people I've ever met. And it's true because think about it, guys. What are we racing towards? What's the goal? And society at large tells us whoever has the biggest bank account wins. They're the most successful. And I always think about Elon Musk. That dude's a sweaty mess. Like he sleeps, then he brags about how he sleeps on the warehouse floor, and he does. I interviewed one of his executives, and that's not a made up story, that's true and stuff. But I'm like, is he happy there?
Does he look happy?
Yeah, and then, okay, but all right, fine. I work super hard too, so I can relate to it. And maybe he is happy there, grinding away and building something. I totally get that. But then I've seen him on TV a billion times. I've seen him in interviews, and he looks like a wreck, right? Like, he looks so supernova stressed. Like Bezos, on the other hand, is having the time of his life. Like you kind of tell, right? And so for all that I might have political disagreements with Bezos, I'm like, at least he gets it at this late date, right?
Yeah.
You have all this money, bro, spend it, right? Like at least have some fun, right?
Yeah.
So whereas Elon looks like he's never happy. So if you're super rich but never happy, were you successful? I would argue you were a stunning failure. And especially like you got $1 trillion and you can't figure out how to be happy, then you apparently can't figure out anything, right?
We're all gonna die soon. Like, let's just really like take that in. I've already lived half my life is gone, it's over. And that life went by real fast already. Like,
oh yeah.
I'm going to wake up in what's gonna feel like next week and it'll be my deathbed. And I'm gonna look back and say, what the hell? Like, why did I waste all this time freaking out? Ooh, I got a plan for my future, I got a plan. My future is now, okay? It's now, it's this. This is it, this is my life. So either I enjoy it and I have fun, I feel the bliss that I deserve to feel, or I just toil away with like, oh, the future, I'm so worried about the future all the time. Yeah, the future is the future, but like, what about the now? You're alive, you're breathing, you're healthy. In the future, I'm probably gonna have all these ailments, and I'm gonna wish that I can go back to today with my fine ass self, you know? So just really take that in because you're going to regret squandering this time you have on this earth by freaking out about things that you either don't have control over or planning for things that you're already over planning for. Okay, you're gonna be fine. Soak it in.
100%. Last couple of things there. First, nice dress. I'm taking Velvet Jones's advice, and I don't know what that is, but that's a nice little addition. That
yeah. This is so I got this dress on Poshmark, of course, and I really liked the fit, so I wanted to buy a different color, and then I realized, oh wow, the actual retail price of this dress is something I would never spend money on. So, but anyway, this is like a removable little thing, and yeah, it looks good on me.
Yeah, no, God bless, that's perfect. Okay, last success story. When I was running for president, we needed a lawyer in South Carolina because the Democratic Party, in their brief against me, said they do not want to be associated with me because I was a naturalized citizen.
Wait, hold on, say that again?
The Democratic Party, led by Jamie Harrison, said that they do not want to be associated with me. And that because I'm a naturalized citizen. So they like actively reveled in discriminating against me because of what kind of citizen I was and where I was born.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I'm sure Jamie Harrison's super proud. Anyway, but we had our lawyers for the campaign, but we needed a local lawyer as well in court. And the guy that we hired is a great lawyer down in South Carolina. and his nickname is Happy. Okay, and we had dinner at his house the night before, like a lovely Southern house. Okay, and then he obviously came and helped us with a case the next day and stuff. And I talked to him throughout, and I was like, this bro, he's one of the most successful guys I've ever met. Not just because his house was lovely and he had a great family and his nickname is Happy. Mainly though, it's because he genuinely, that's why I asked him all those questions, he was genuinely happy. And by the way, when I investigated into as to why, he was obsessed with his family and friends, and he was so grateful for everything in his life. I'm like, bingo, ding, 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 we've got a winner, okay? So I have to say it's a little sad that I can remember all the very happy people I've met in my life.
Yeah, you live in America.
It's a super limited subset, right? So don't stress yourself out, but we got to do better. Okay, I have one more. Do you have any?
No, no one's written in.
Oh.
So go ahead.
Okay, interesting. So Zelda Symphony. This says, allow me to be serious and silly and try not to get too offended if you're in the group that she's referring to. Anyway, I moved into a new place, living room, bedroom, private bathroom, new hardwood floors for $500. Already you're winning, and in a nice neighborhood. Where is this, Alaska?
Yeah, where is this?
Okay, I'm unpacked, things are in their places, cats are happy, and I can relax. I found a way to support Palestine, but also support Israel. They say, if you don't know what these are, you can show the pictures and I'll just read this. If you don't know what these are, Israel's the name of my automated cat litter box. It should say waste 82%, as 82% of Israel's population is terrible. My Rumba is named Netanyahu because they both suck. Well, the Rumba does a great job at sucking any dirt off the floor, but still cleaning like a little bitch, like Netanyahu is.
Zelda, this is so great. This brought me joy.
Okay, yeah. Again, if you're in that group, don't get too offended. They're having fun with it. Okay.
I will allow it.
Okay, but whatever gives you joy, it's relatively harmless. And all right, so guys, if you can, try some of this, any of this. Try the moment of happiness where you spend 1 minute just thinking positive thoughts. Just try at least once a day to be grateful for something. And last thing I'll end on, and we do have old school tonight. I hope you're grateful for that. Michael Schur and I, and we've been having a lot of fun lately. So check, if you're a member, you get to watch it live. That's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern right here, so come back for it. You hit the join button below on YouTube or tyt.com/join to become a member. I knew that I was going to talk long enough to forget the thing I was going to tell you at the end. I knew it, okay? So, yeah, no, I think I forgot it.
It's okay, you'll remember when we're off air.
Yeah, and I'll remember and I'll bring it up in old school, okay? But anyways, yes, go, I remembered. I stalled long enough to remember. My mom and dad told me something I didn't know at all until yesterday. We went and had, not yesterday, the day before, we had a great Father's Day. We went out to by the water in LA, the whole family. And God, I love this, my favorite place. And my mom said, yeah, every morning when we get up, we do like a moment of appreciation. And I was like, you do? I didn't know that. Yeah, she's like, we've been doing it forever.
What?
Like I say what I am grateful for, and then your dad says what he's grateful for.
What?
And I'm like, no wonder you got me, right? If those are my parents, of course
your heart is pure, Jake. Maintain that pure heart.
A lot of people disagree with you. So.
Well, they're wrong. They're wrong. I know you way better than they do, so.
Well, you're very nice for saying that. All right, we're gonna see you on Old School.
Bye-bye.